Welcome back to Toronto as we get set for the 25th Honda Indy Toronto. IndyCars getting set to take center stage here in just a few moments. Downtown Toronto is beautiful. It's been a fantastic weekend, and we've had one good race so far. A great weekend for the Wilsons. Stefan wins in Firestone Indy Lights, and his big brother Justin trying to win here on the streets of Toronto for the second time. Race number 10 of 18 on the IZOD IndyCar Series schedule. We are into the second half of the schedule now, and one of the local favorites, Paul Tracy, joins us here on our Versus set. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kevin Lee. Paul, it's got to be great to be racing back on the streets of Toronto.
Well, it is, and obviously it's been a huge weekend for the Honda Indy. Huge crowds Friday, Saturday. Great crowd again today. Not as hot as we as expected it to be. We've got some cloud cover and maybe a little bit of threat of rain, which is going to make it really tricky.
And I like your fire suit. You're racing for a good cause this weekend.
Yeah, this is our second year with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Obviously, you can see all the donations that people have made. You know, last year we raised $112K in the two race weekends, Toronto, Edmonton. We've had a lot of promotions this week, and hopefully we can raise more and break that mark.
Now, who are you having sign this? Is this drivers
this
or
is,
people making donations?
Just fans. We've had a booth set up. Fans can go up, make a donation to Make-A-Wish, whether it's $1 or whatever amount, and sign my suit. So, you know, we've had it's like carrying the spirits of everybody with you when you're in the car, which is pretty cool.
Well, let's go back to the morning warm-up today. I understand that you mixed it up a little bit with James Hinchcliffe in there. Here's the monitor. If you were in front, so you may not have had the vantage point on this. And I think James eventually is going to say hello to you here.
Well, I had a lock up there and ran a little wide. That's a pretty tough place to pass. I mean, it's only one car wide. So, I mean, that's kind of the pitfalls of this racetrack. It's a very narrow track. It's very slippery. It's really easy to lock up, and really super easy to go down the runoff zone. But you'll see a lot of hand gestures today. There's definitely going to be some people that leave this race more unhappy than happy. So double file restarts here are going to be extremely tricky with the lead up to it. So, you know, hopefully we can stay out of all the carnage, not be involved in any of it, and get a good result.
Starting 24th, how much off sequence do you go? We have a really big pit window here. What's the game plan?
Well, we basically started in the same position last year. We had issues, and we got off sequence and you know, led the race for 15 or 16 laps. So, you know, our goal is to do whatever the leader doesn't do. It gives us options from where we're starting. If we were in the middle of the field, 13th, 14th, 15th, 12th, it's hard to make anything, do anything different than what the leader does, because you're within striking range. But you know, we have nothing to lose. We're going to gamble, roll the dice, and see what happens.
When you're not doing every race, how hard is it for you and the team to get into a rhythm?
I mean, it's difficult for sure. I mean, it doesn't make it easy, especially when you haven't been on a road course in 2 months. I've done no testing. The other guys have been out testing in the last couple weeks at Mid-Ohio and places like that. So, you know, we're coming in a little bit blindfolded and with our hands tied behind our backs. But you know, we'll just go and give it everything that we got, and make sure we've got a good car. I think we have a good car today. We had a good warm-up, and stay out of the messes and finish the race.
Hey, thanks for coming up. Good luck here and also in Edmonton.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Paul Tracy with Dragon Racing, one of his longtime friends. That might be in quotation marks, but certainly friendly at times, but certainly very fierce competitors at times, is with Robbie Floyd.
Kevin called you Paul Tracy's friend, and it could be at times a friend, but you've had quite a few battles with him throughout the years. What's it been like coming back for your second time around?
Well, it's, you know, with Paul, we've had a lot of incidents on track, but globally off track, he's just a great guy all around, and we had good times. You know, it's just he's a tough racer, and we ended up on the same piece of real estate more often than one.
You won here in 2004. You got the whole shot and left everybody. Is that going to be key to victory today for Will Power? Do you think it's going to take the whole shot and get a good start?
I think he's going to take a good start, and hopefully, you know, the start and the restart don't affect too much the proper racing. I think it's always a place where you can be a pretty easy victim of, you know, aggressivity and attempts. So I hope it works out for him, because he's again put on a very good performance. But the field is so tight. You know, you look at the lap times and it's unbelievable. So I think it's going to be very difficult to run away with it.
Tell me how you can put the Boy Scouts of America car in the 7th spot after not qualifying so well early on in the year and having a 2.5-month layoff?
Well, you know, the team's really put in a lot of efforts, and we still haven't completely reached the point where we want to be, but we were qualified 12th in Brazil. Now, you know, it's just although there was some oval stretches in between, for sure we kept walking, and we've had a new engineer coming on board to try and help us out, and it starts to pay dividends.
And hoping those key him on to victory for his second victory here at Toronto, Kevin.
All right, thank you, Robbie. Well, there are always things to see, and this is one of our favorite sites to visit. You never know who you are going to see, and one of those celebrities in town this weekend, there he is. It's Dan Aykroyd. He's the Grand Marshal, and he's set to go along with Dan Weldon. Dan, take it away.
Hey, so let's do this, man.
Show us what these people do here, yeah.
We'll do. We're in the new Honda Civic, and we're going to take a ride for you. This is the first corner. You'll see a lot of action here in the race.
Right.
Great track here in Toronto. You're probably used to the driving, right?
I've driven this in the winter, and that's when it's really bad.
Long straight here. During the race, you'll see a lot of action. Hopefully, we'll get this Honda car up to 110 plus.
There's our
Great track. Heavy braking here.
Okay.
I'm into a hairpin here.
Wow.
Up through the gears.
Fantastic.
This is a great little car. New pace car for Honda.
Oh, they're doing great things. Can't believe that Civic.
Little bit of tire squeal right there.
And then compound this with, you've got 10 other people around you trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and things obviously happen real quick in IndyCar, and it's a biggest thing with this track is the change in pavement and stuff.
Yeah.
Very bumpy too, but
Typical urban environment.
phenomenal spectacle. This is a really fast section onto the front stretch. Lot of understeer. We probably wanted to handle a little better in the race, but nonetheless, good for a road car.
Wow. And what an endurance. 2 hours of solid driving like this.
I think that's the biggest thing with IndyCar racing. People underestimate how physical it is.
Well, I felt Danica's grip. Pretty strong hand there she has. Wow, nice. And then we're braking here. And then hairpin.
Hairpin.
Yeah. Wow, great.
Yeah, this is just a great racetrack. As you can see, you can't really make mistakes around here because you're going to be eating concrete, as we like to say.
You're going to have 3 or 4 cars trying to make that turn at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, we should really let you loose in this, right?
Yeah, with a little training. And you're shifting with a stick.
Yeah.
They do it with a paddle. It's a lot easier. Doing a great job, Danny.
Thank you, man. Yeah. This is the new Dan and Dan show. And this is where we'll stop. Wow.
Thank you, man. That was incredible.
No problem, man.
Wow.
Enjoyed it. Sorry I had to be the driver, man. I know you're used to driving, but I hope you had a good time. That's the streets of Toronto at its best.
And it just shows you that you got to have the right instincts in you to handle a course like that, and you did it beautifully with the stick. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, and back to you guys.
Look forward to your next victory.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. I would have really loved to have seen Dan Aykroyd without the sunglasses on to see how big his eyes got as they went into the hairpin corner. And as you know, Dan's a great driver himself. And check out his passenger there from the Blues Brothers. Great to have Dan Aykroyd with us here. He is a Canadian. Robin Miller is set to join us here coming up in just a moment. Stay with us. The Honda Indy Toronto is coming up on Versus. Welcome back to the streets of Toronto. The Honda Indy Toronto is coming up for the 25th time. IndyCar racing on the streets of Toronto. Will Power on the pole. We've got plenty of stories still to catch you up on. Thanks for joining us. Our IndyCar insider Robin Miller joins us now on our Versus stage. A lot of news here in the last couple of weeks. Iowa, fantastic show, good crowd a couple of weeks ago, and we might get more Iowa next year.
I think, Kevin, what Randy Bernard's idea is, let's try and take the benefit of our best oval track. So he wants to do next year is race Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. Never been done before. It's been talked about at Cleveland once as a road course and an oval, but it didn't really happen. And I think Iowa's the perfect place to be the guinea pig, because if those people saw a good show like they did on Saturday night, they'll probably come back for Sunday.
We also have confirmation of a new track, an old track, returning to the schedule, back to California Speedway, Auto Club Speedway, for the first time in 6 years.
Which, you know, a lot of people in the paddock this weekend are going, why are we going back there? We had terrible crowds. We had great races. We had terrible crowds. And there's Dario winning. I think Kanan gave him the freebie there, as I remember. But what the first couple years that IndyCars raced there in the 90s, there were 70,000 people, and then the crowd just went away. So Auto Club is really the one pushing this, saying we're going to help make this thing a success again. That's what I like. The track president is really interested. You can't just show up. You have to be invited, and the track has to want to promote you. Let's go to the season finale now. The IZOD IndyCar Series World Championship in Las Vegas, and announced this week a partnership with MGM Resorts. You can still get free tickets if you attend another race. Now you can get 2 free tickets if you stay at any of the MGM properties in Vegas from October 11th through 18th. Now to who might take Randy Bernard up on the $5 million challenge. Well, he's talked to Alex Zanardi. He's tried to talk to Kimi Räikkönen. A lot of drivers have talked to him. I think Dan Weldon's in his wheelhouse. I think he's thinking about maybe Dan Weldon, but not giving him the whole $5 million, trying to split it up with charity. There's people like Joey Saldana, the World of Outlaws, or maybe Kevin Swindell. There's a lot of different people he's been talking about. He says he's got one guy already picked, but he hadn't told anybody yet. Okay, we'll stay tuned for that. Well, another note this week is that there has been a change behind the scenes at Penske. Will Power has had some issues in the pit lane for the last couple of years. Some issues with contact with Charlie Kimball on pit lane. Clive Howell has been calling strategy for Will Power. He went to Tim Cindric, the Penske president, and said, I think you should come down here and call strategy and exactly see what is happening. Lindy Thaxton is with Tim right now.
And Kevin, we are so used to seeing Tim with Elio. So first of all, how do you tell someone you've worked so closely with for years and are friends with that you're leaving his car?
Yeah, it was one of the more difficult calls I've had to make in my career, but obviously Elio and I have been through a lot in our careers. Somebody was telling me the other day we won 25 races together. Obviously that includes 3 Indies, and he's almost made his 200th start for the team. And he's driven longer than any driver for Roger, so you know, certainly it was a difficult decision, but the thing that I respect about Elio more than what he's able to do on the track is the fact that he's such a team player, and he understood completely. You know, he said, obviously, if it was my choice, it would be different, but it's not. And he realizes that my position is more than just a strategist for the team. And, you know, as I sat and looked at it, and we looked at where we'd been over the past few races, really I sat down with Clive Howell, who's calling the strategy, as you know, for the 12 car for the past year and a half, and has done a great job for our team. And I said, hey, things aren't really clicking there. What do you think? Because it didn't seem real obvious to us, you know, what we ought to look at. And he said, if I were you in your position, I'd go down there and run that car. And that's really how the conversation originated, and we thought about that more, and here we are.
Tim, thank you for your time, president of Penske Racing. We'll see you out there on the number 12 stand.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk more about that story as we continue. We've got more with Robin Miller coming up. We are starting the second half of the season here today, and Robin's much anticipated mid-season report card is coming up. Stay with us from Toronto. This is IndyCar on Versus. We are about an hour away from the green flag for the Honda Indy Toronto. Thanks for joining us. Justin Wilson's car, his little brother, has already won Firestone Indy Lights today. There's Danica Patrick's car being prepared, teams getting set, making final preparations. There's Dario Franchitti back in the target colors. And we go back to, that's Elio Castroneves today. A different look for him with Penske Truck Rental. Thanks again for joining us. Robin Miller is on set with us here, our IndyCar insider, race number 10 of 18. So time to review the first half, our mid-season report card. And let's start with not a driver, not a team, but something new. Double file restarts, yes.
And you heard all the moaning and all the drivers, this is going to be a disaster, we can't do it, you know, you're asking the impossible. We can do it on a couple ovals, we can't do it anywhere else. It's been the best received thing by the fans and anything I can remember in the last 20 years, Kevin. And the drivers finally quit moaning. Yeah, the first race they screwed it up, but since the first race they've done a better job. And you got to remember that was the start of the race. It's not like they just started for the first time ever double file restarts. They did a good job at Barber until they got to turn 4. But the most important thing is that this is exactly what the fans want. They want some excitement in street courses and road courses when maybe it's just follow the leader.
Today is going to be challenging. It's going to be entertaining as well. All right, let's get to some drivers and teams, and we'll start with somebody that did just one race this season so far. Brian Hurta, Autosport.
I've heard from a lot of guys, and they're like, how can you give them an A? I said, well, they've been in one race. It was the Indy 500, and they won it. Yeah, but he only led 300 feet. I said, I don't care. They were in position to win. They did win. Weldon won a second race. Hurta Motorsports got the only A because I'm a tough teacher.
And it wasn't a fluke that he was running up front.
Of course not.
He
started
needed
up
some
front.
help to win the race, but he was in position for a strong finish. Let's look now at Target Chip Ganassi racing.
Well, I think, you know, Dario has obviously been an A-plus driver all year. Kevin, he's got 3 races. He's won 3 races. He's led the most laps. But they threw away the Indy 500 twice with him and with Scott Dixon. So I think I gave him a B+ because that's what they deserve.
Yeah, even leading the championship, they've left a little bit on the table.
Sure.
Scott Dixon, a lot of it's not his fault.
Right. Dixon's just been he's just been, unfortunately, the fact that he's third in the points is amazing, and he's made it all the way to third in the points with all the bad luck he's had.
One of the great stories, Newman Haas.
Yes. You know, it didn't look like they were going to have a team. You know, rookie James Hinchcliffe misses the first race. Oriol Servia is just one of those guys that's always been around, and you're like, if that guy ever had a good steady ride, he'd probably do something. Well, he is. He's 4th in the points right now. He's done a hell of a job. Dario said earlier in the year, I think Servia's had the best handling car race in and race out. So it's great to see Newman Haas still a 2-car team and still back in front where they belong.
There are some that did not get as good of a grade from Robin. That's always entertaining. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment as we continue our mid-season report card from Toronto here on Versus. One of the largest cities in North America, one of the great cities in North America, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, site of today's Honda Indy Toronto. IndyCar's racing here for the 25th time. Cars are lined up on pit road. There's Graham Rahal's car, the 38 Service Central machine. Robin Miller is still with us, our IndyCar insider. We are reviewing teams from the first half of the season. We start the second half. All right, we've talked about the A's and the B's. Let's continue with our report card. Team Penske.
C+. I mean, if it wasn't for Will Power, they'd probably be a D, Kevin. He's kept them going. I mean, they'd be nowhere without Will Power. He's had a couple of slips, and he's 19 points behind in the championship, but he's won 3 races. But overall, they were nowhere at Indianapolis. I mean, they almost deserve worse than a C+ because with all their money and all their experience, they were not a non-factor at the Indy 500, which is unbelievable.
Andretti Autosport has won twice.
Andretti Autosport's feast or famine. I mean, Mike Conway was brilliant at Long Beach. He's been nowhere since. Now he's starting up front here again today. Marco Andretti hasn't been very good on road courses. Was superlative at Iowa and drove the best race probably of his career. So you have to balance it out. Ryan Hunter-Reay and Conway missed the show at Indy. They got to buy Ryan's way back in. I mean, for a team with their depth and all their experience, it's not a very good season so far.
Some might have said KV should have gotten better than a C if you're grading on a curve and taking in realistic expectations.
Right, because when you got a 3-driver team, Tony Kanaan's probably a B+, Kevin, but his teammates, Sato and Viso, dragged them down to a D, so it averages out to be about a C because Kanaan should have won Milwaukee. He threw that away. That was his mistake, but he's made some great drives to get up front. That's why he's doing so well in the championship. Sato's been fast. Viso's been fast. They just crash a lot, so that's the penalty.
Of the others, what stands out, Dry and Reinbold, I thought we might see a little better from them this year.
Absolutely. You got Justin Wilson, who's one of the best drivers in the paddock. Everybody knows if he was in one of the red cars, he'd probably won a couple races already. They've really been a disappointment. And how do you make that? You make some changes in the engineering department. Maybe I think Justin would like to bring somebody in, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to. It's just that when a guy of that caliber is struggling like he is, it's not just the guy in the seat.
All right, Robin Miller will be with us along a little bit later on IndyCar Central presented by Verizon. Also coming up, Dario Franchitti will join us here on the set. Marco Andretti, who won at Iowa a couple of weeks ago, is going to be here. Another grid walk coming up. It went so well last time around with Robin and Dan Weldon. We'll put him back to work coming up and surprising those getting set to race. Plenty to come here. I hope you'll stay with us. We are looking forward to a fantastic race. It usually is here on the streets of Toronto. Thanks for joining us. Stay with us. IndyCar Central presented by Verizon coming up.
Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the 5th largest city in North America. And today, for the 25th time, the IndyCars have come to town. With all the big names of open-wheel racing, series points leader Dario Franchitti. Today's pole sitter and the defending winner of this race, Will Power. Scott Dixon, 3rd in championship points and the outside front row starter. And Mike Conway, who has his best start since Long Beach, a race that he won. Welcome to IndyCar Central on Versus, presented by Verizon. The streets of Exhibition Place just west of downtown Toronto are the battleground for today's Eyes on IndyCar Series race on a 1.7-mile, 11-turn, very challenging racetrack. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. What a beautiful setting, huh? The skyline of Toronto and the CN Tower behind me. We have just completed a stretch of 5 races on ovals, but now 6 of the next 7 events are on road and street courses. 2 weeks ago, heading into the oval at Iowa, Dario Franchitti and Will Power were tied in points, but Lindy, now Will finds himself 19 points behind.
And certainly Will did not have a weekend in Iowa that he wanted, and his weekend this time didn't start so great either. It took him 25 hours to get here from Charlotte because of flight cancellations, baggage issues, but he got here and he drove this thing to pole position, forgetting all those troubles. But now he has to worry about who's behind him. Scott Dixon and Dario Franchitti in spots 2 and 3, passing very possible at certain spots at this track. I'll talk to him in about 20 minutes, Bob, about his plan for the start and more.
Will could very well begin his comeback today during a 5-race stretch of road and street course races in the summer of 2010. Will had 4 poles, 3 wins, and 2 second-place finishes, and he's back on the pole here today. Well, the first 4 events of this year were also on street and road courses, and during that time, Will was very powerful, but so too was Dario.
Time to go racing in 2011. Dario Franchitti is the early leader. Give the Scotsman the 27th win of his career.
The battle up front here at Barber Motorsports Park gets closer and closer. It's just a Sunday afternoon drive for Will Power. Will Power goes to victory lane. Conway has taken the lead from Ryan Briscoe. Back from a devastating crash last year at the Indianapolis 500, Mike Conway wins his first Eyes on IndyCar Series event. When it comes to racing on the street and road courses, you simply cannot beat power. Will Power wins at the Itaipava Sao Paulo Indy 300.
And the 3-time IndyCar champ, 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner Dario Franchitti joins us again here on the Skylair. You're going to be a co-host of this show before we're done, I think.
I hope so.
All right, yeah, you lead the championship, you get invited back. You got to be happy. I know you've done well in the ovals, but you're always happy to see right and left-hand turns.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I grew up doing. This is my first love, and as well as we've done on the ovals, it's something I've had to learn over the years. Although this weekend's tough. I mean, my teammate Scott Dixon in particular has been very, very strong, and Will, as usual, has been strong. So if we want to win today, we've got to step it up a little bit. As we start the second half of the season, you have a 19-point lead. You've won 3 times. How do you assess the first half for you guys? Yeah, up and down. Obviously, Indianapolis was a massive disappointment for the Target team. It started well at St. Pete. Barber, Long Beach wasn't quite where I needed to be there. So we're closer than we have been and on the last couple of road and street courses, so we'll see what happens today.
This place has a lot of IndyCar series history. It's the 25th time IndyCars have raced here, and you've been through a lot of them, and you've won a couple of times. What are the challenges of this track?
Yeah, this place is incredibly bumpy, and over the years it's got a little bit more bumpy. It adds to the challenge of the place. It's part of what people like about it too, and the walls are very, very close, so you make a small mistake on those bumps, or as the surfaces change from asphalt to concrete, it gets really challenging. So yeah, big day for us here. We've got Target coming to Canada in 2013, so we've got a lot of Target guests here. Scott and I want to do a good job for them.
All right, good luck. Starting third today, Dario Franchitti. Let's check in with his teammate now, Scott Dixon with Robbie Floyd.
And for Scott Dixon to win his third IZOD IndyCar Series championship, you've got to come up with some wins. Is this the place that's going to be your best starting spot since you've been here in Toronto?
Well, I think the last 9 races we've been looking for a turning point in the season. You know, it's been a rough one. You know, obviously we lost a lot of points with some crashes and being taken out and just silly moves on our behalf. So we've got to try and turn it around. Toronto would be a fantastic place. Obviously we qualified a lot better than we have here in the past, and the cars are finally dialed in pretty well, and we were fastest in the warm-up. But obviously willpower and the 12 Penske has been extremely fast. So it's not going to be easy today. We've got a lot of work to do.
Talk about your start. You're starting from the outside of row 1. When I talked to Dario yesterday, he said, I wouldn't mind being in that position, even though it's on the outside. Sometimes you can get pushed. He got the whole shot there and got by, it was Gilles Deferrin, I believe, in his first win here. What do you think about starting on the front and outside?
Well, it's good to start in the front row. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, you'd want to start on the pole. That's, the best part you can be. But, I think it's a little smoother, a little more grip on the outside. It just depends. I think half the time you got to sort of watch the guy on the inside and how hard they push it in, because they can make you run out of road, very quickly. So, we'll just have to play it by ear. For us, generally, and Dario the same. We've just got to get through turn 1 and turn 3 on, the start and the restarts. It's going to be extremely tough. It's a tight circuit, much tighter than some of the other road courses we've been to. So hopefully, everybody can keep it on the track.
Kevin will be something to look for. He said there's more grip on the outside. He's starting on that front row. Hopefully he can get that start he's looking for.
And Scott Dixon will certainly be one of the drivers trying to add his name to an impressive list of racers who have won here in Toronto. This is the 25th time we've been here. Bobby Rahal won the first race here, and others who have gone on to victory lane include Al Unser Jr. and Paul Tracy. But when it comes to success on the streets of Toronto, Michael Andretti topped them all, winning 7 times here. And we're going to talk to his son, Marco Andretti, coming off a win 2 weeks ago at Iowa. He's got a long ways to go to work his way up to the front. Marco coming up in a few minutes here on Versus.
IndyCar Central on Versus is presented by Verizon, official wireless partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
I'm Michael Andretti, and I'm a 7-time winner of the Toronto Grand Prix. 89, my first one. It was a hard-fought race with Emerson. I remember right in the end there, and we got together, unfortunately, but I was able to come on and win my first one here, which was pretty special. 91 was my next one. Dad was on the podium there with us, so that was pretty special. 92 was another good one. 94 was good. 95. 2000. My last one, 2001, coming from last to first, was probably the most special one.
And Michael Andretti has 4 opportunities to go to victory lane today. He's actually already been there once. His driver, Stephen Wilson, won in Firestone Indy Lights about an hour ago. Thanks for staying with us here on Versus. Marco Andretti came within 100 yards or so of winning the Indianapolis 500 as a teenager. He later got to victory lane that rookie season at Infineon, and since then there have been several near misses, including 3 runner-ups and more strong runs at Indy. 2 weeks ago, though, in front of a full house at Iowa Speedway, the third-generation winner broke through again.
Marco Andretti leading Canaan.
Marco has 9 overtakes left to Tony's 7. Tony's on the button.
Does he have room to the inside? Nope.
That was a little bit of payback. Tony crossed the bow aggressively of Marco on a couple of occasions, and he probably remembered that.
Here is the white flag.
Marco, it's the 5-year drought.
Marco Andretti wins over Canaan.
Some good racing with TK. It was good fun, but the Benham boys were on it tonight. I made it difficult on him, but no mercy at this point. I need it.
If it wasn't for the win, we were going to talk about it.
And driver of the number 26 car, normally the Venom Energy car. This weekend, it's Dr. Pepper. Marco Andretti joins us here on the set. What was the prevailing emotion getting a win for the first time in 5 years right after that race?
Relief is the word for sure. It seemed like 15 years for me. So, you know, I think what kept me sane and what kept me driven was, you know, we've been close in a lot of different places. We've led a lot of laps, but not the right one. So it's kept me driven. Now, obviously, we know we could still do it, and it's made me nothing but more hungry.
It's tough for you to think about it this way, but you're still 24 years old. James Hinchcliffe is one of the top rookies. He's actually older than you are. Have you tried to step back and think, you know what, I've still got time to have a lot of success in this sport?
No way, man.
Yeah.
That's not the right mentality. No, I've been disappointed. I mean, I'll just be blatantly honest. My last 4 years of my career, it's not gone to how I planned. So, it's you know, it's starting now, hopefully.
Do you have memories of this place and any sense of what your dad accomplished here, winning 7 times?
I do. It's you know, I appreciate it more and more every time I look back at it. I've been here for a couple of them. You know, I really look up to the guy, and I love that's my passion. I love looking back at old races and stuff like that.
It's certainly, as you said, a relief to get that win, but I'm wondering what it does moving forward, not just for you, but maybe for the team too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the team mentality, the morale right now is pretty good. Being selfish, I mean, for me, it's obviously it's good for my own confidence, but maybe to quiet some of the critics anyway. But yeah, I mean, the team morale right now is really good. Now we're looking for a little bit of luck to get us towards the front in Toronto.
Yeah, trying to go off cycle maybe a little bit, starting back in the pack today. We'll look for Marco Andretti. Thanks for coming up. Good luck today.
Thanks for having me. I got to take this opportunity to commend my hero Dan Weldon for a great job in the booth as well.
Well, you can. He'll hand you the check as you step off the stage here in just a moment. That's Marco Andretti. Lindy, who do you have?
Another big name in racing, Ray Hall. And Graham, your weekend started off not really knowing what to think. 17th in practice, qualified 5th. Is this you figuring out the track, crew figuring out the car, a little bit of both?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, right away we felt that the car was better than 17th. You know, in the second session we moved up to 11th and then 3rd in the last practice. So or I should say 9th. So we kind of slowly moved forward. And then in qualifying, we just kind of hit our stride. The car was really good. The guys did a great job. To be honest, I thought we had a little bit more in it in the last run in Q3, but just a little too loose. And this morning in warm-up, kind of the same story. So we're working on it. We're going to keep getting it better here throughout the race. I really think the Service Central car is good, and I think we'll be tough today.
Something different. You normally have Tim Keen calling strategies, not here this weekend. So your spotter, Lee Orval, steps in. Some people at home might say a spotter calling strategy, but quite a history with your family, actually. What is it?
Well, Lee, I mean, Lee's known me since, I don't know if it was when I was born, but, you know, right after. He's been around a long time. He spotted for my dad for all those years, and then was with Ray Hall Letterman up until I guess the end of '08, and he came across to Newman Haas with me, so he's been with me ever since. And Lee's a fantastic guy, and I have no doubt that between the 3 guys that are on the stand calling it today, you know, they'll do a fantastic job, and I know the Service Central guys do a great job in the pits, so should be a good day.
Graham currently 7th in the point standings. Kevin?
All right, thank you, Lindy. Robin Miller joins us again here on the stage. Let's go back to Marco Andretti. I mentioned with him that he's still younger than James Hinchcliffe. He's just a little bit older than J.R. Hildebrand. Where's he at in his career and his development right now?
A good question, because I think a lot of people just assume that, you know, when he almost won Indy as a rookie, Kevin, and I think the thing of it is that he shows brilliance sometimes and then he just flounders. He's not very consistent. So I think, you know, when you look at Marco and look at his dad and look at Mario when they won their first races and stuff, he still got this entire career of him because he started so young, but he really didn't have a lot of experience when he started. So I think it's starting to catch up. I just want to see him reel off 3 or 4 wins in a row in Graham Rahal, because that's what this series needs. We need some American stars, and obviously Andretti and Rahal have to lead the way.
All right, we'll have more with Robin. The Grid Walk with Dan Weldon coming up again here a little bit later on. We're getting close to the start of this race, the Honda Indy Toronto. We're going to talk with Will Power coming up in just a moment. Stay with us.
Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by here. This is the Hinchcliffe family home in Oakville, Ontario, just outside Toronto, and I guess this is effectively Hinchtown. when I had my first test with Newman Haas at Sebring back in December of last year. I went out to dinner with my dad, and they had Newman's Own wine. And my dad said, "This is a sign. Still have the bottle, and I'm driving for Newman Haas." So there you go. So we're here now in the basement, which is sort of the racing shrine of the house, and it's tough to miss this right off the bat. Obviously, this one's sort of my pride and joy. This is actually a race-worn Greg Moore helmet, which obviously means a lot to me. It's a race-worn Jacques Villeneuve helmet. Got a bunch of the Canadian drivers covered here: Paul Tracy, Ron Fellows. Yes, you may notice there's an Elio Castroneves helmet here, and it's sort of weird to have a helmet of a dude that you're racing against, but I'm just such a fan. I'm a big Elio fan. This was my nightlight growing up. Yeah? I mean, if that didn't sort of get into my head what I wanted to do, what else would, right? It kept all the bad things away at night. So you've seen my house, where I lived and grew up, but this is where I spent a lot of my time when I was younger. This is Lakeshore in downtown Oakville. It's a really cool strip of road here. Now my girlfriend Melissa and I are gonna take you to one of my favorite spots to eat and drink. It's called O'Finn's Irish Temper. That's not what I ordered. I'm just kidding. I always said that one day I wanted to own this place. That's how much I like it. So I'm still holding out for that. So now that you've seen a bit of Oakville, we're gonna head out to Burlington and go see my sister's dog spa. And some of you may or may not have seen the video of me getting into the dog spa. Well, now we're gonna go check the place out.
Nice to have you in town.
Yeah, it's nice to be in town. Everybody, this is Sister Hinch, or Rebecca, as I guess she's officially known. Sadie, how's it going? Look, she looks like an IndyCar driver, just going around in circles and going around in circles and going around in circles and going left. There you go, it's official. We have the same intelligence and, level of entertainment that a dog has. That's all it takes, is just going around in circles.
I don't know. Try this one on. Cherries.
24 years I've been putting up with this. 24 years. As if getting in the dog spa wasn't enough.
Oh my God. There's the mayor of Hinchtown. You gotta love a guy who doesn't take himself too seriously. But he has to be serious right now, starting in his hometown in an IndyCar race for the first time. One of 3 Canadians on the grid. Alex Tagliani has the best starting position. James Hinchcliffe has finished as high as 4th this season at Long Beach. Well, Will Power will start on the pole, and he won his first oval race at Texas in the second half of the doubleheader last month. Then he battled from 17th to 4th at Milwaukee, but his qualifying spot at Milwaukee led to an unfamiliar pit road position at Iowa, which likely had an impact on a rough and painful night. Here comes Will Power, the championship leader. They'll change all 4 tires. Oh, and he comes together with Charlie Kimball. Heavy contact for the championship co-leader.
Charlie wasn't exactly where he needed to be, but unfortunately, Will Power's team sent him when they should not have.
Will Power has just crashed out in turn number 2.
I had to put so much lock in to turn the car, and then it caught me out. And, once again, we screwed ourselves in the pits like we always do. We just got to stop that.
I'm glad to see he's okay. We'll have that fight in Toronto, and we'll keep going.
Will, certainly glad that weekend is over, ready to start a new one. You have to have thought about this. Do you think Dario's going to try to pass his teammate and you immediately off the start, and do you plan to let that happen?
I'm sure he's going to be trying to, but, I'm going to try to get a start good enough to keep ahead of both of them. I think the tough thing will be going down the back straight, them getting a draft and potentially trying a move there. So I think it'll be a pretty tough race, a lot of mayhem, just trying to stay out of trouble.
Tim Cindric, who's always been on Elio's car, has now come over to yours. Normally you have Clive Howell, and he's fine with this, says it's great, still working with the team. There has to be a reason for it, though. What difference have you noticed on the 12 car since Tim's been a part of it?
I think Clive was doing a great job. We were just having a few problems in pit stops, and that was the reason for the change, is to have someone like Tim who's been doing it for a long time oversee exactly what's going on and identify if there is any problems. It's been such an easy transition. He's really cool on the radio, and he's a great strategist.
Will Power, the defending winner here, hoping to do it again. Kevin?
And he's second in the championship. 19 points now with the bonus point for the pole behind Dario Franchitti. Scott Dixon in third, looking for his first win, is going to need wins to have any chance to move up in the championship. And we look to the Mario Andretti Road Championship Trophy. You see Will Power is the leader there with his success so far with a couple of wins. Dario Franchitti is still in the mix there, and Oriol Servia in the 3rd position. Well, we saw the footage from Iowa with the contact on pit road with Will Power and Charlie Kimball. Let's find out exactly how that happened. Now we go to our IZOD Pit Center with Dan Weldon and Jan Beekes.
Well, Kevin, if we look at Billy Vincent, he changes the right front wheel for Will Power. He's finished his service, but he's looking to see if everyone else is done. His secondary job is to look up the racetrack to see if it's clear. But typically, you look up the slow lane, meaning that someone's about ready to pit. But because of that, you can see he does not see Charlie Kimball. So as Charlie Kimball comes in, Will Power's on the way out. Tim Cindric has said, we can't really blame Charlie Kimball for this. We should have known that he was coming. And Dan, a lot of this has to do with the fact that this is not where Will Power is used to pitting.
Absolutely, and I'm sure Team Penske are going to learn from this. But Will Power's job when he's in the race car during a pit stop is to focus on Billy Vincent, who is letting him out the pits. That is his sole focus. Unfortunately, it's Team Penske's job to make sure he's clear, and that certainly wasn't the case.
Now, let's switch gears to Toronto. Obviously, you come to Toronto, you got to talk about turn number 3. That's where all the mayhem tends to happen, because that's really where you got to get your passing done.
And this is a great corner for the fans, and it's a good corner sometimes for the drivers and a bad corner. There's a lot of accidents, but you have to leave the inside lane open now because of the changes in the blocking rule. This does bode for passing, but this is also a corner where people lose concentration, run into the back of cars sometimes, and you know, mayhem happens frequently around a track like this, at a corner like this.
Here is an example of how not to do it, but let's look at how you do. If we watch Paul Tracy and stop it right there, you can see that what we have is a change in pavement across here. That is where the stewards make you leave the lane open. You can see that Paul Tracy right here barely leaves the lane open, but because we have a nice and patient Dario Franchitti, that is a picture-perfect pass. Now, many years ago, 1996, a lane was not left open, and tragically, Jeff Krasnoff, as a driver, went up over the back of another. He was killed along with corner worker Gary Avrin, and that is somewhat of the genesis of the blocking rule that you talked about, Dan. So that was tragic, but they've also changed the fencing and the walls as a result.
Yeah, we've certainly learned from an incident like this, and you know, it was very tragic, but the IndyCar series strives on improving safety, and we've made great strides since then.
All right, thank you, Dan. And since we have you, we're going to keep you busy. He's headed out to the grid walk, and as we let Jan make his way to the booth, don't forget that after today's race, you can see Jan's recap when you download IndyCar Mobile, only from Verizon. Text INDY, I-N-D-Y, to 3406, where you can find post-race recaps with Jan Beekes and much more. All right, the much-anticipated grid walk with Robin and Dan is coming up here on Versus. Fans making their way in here on the streets of Toronto for the Honda Indy Toronto. It's coming up here in just a little more than 20 minutes. And one of the activities fans can take part in, the IZOD Fan Zone. Love to see those Hot Wheels cars. Things from when we were kids, still kids are playing with today. Plenty of things to see and do, fan Q&As, driver Q&As. If you come to an IndyCar event, make sure you find out what is happening in the paddock and at the IZOD Fan Village. Well, the grid is certainly still busy, and this is the cue for drivers and team personnel to run and hide. Back for week number 2, it's our grid walk with Dan Weldon and Robin Miller. Take it away, boys.
Okay, boys, this is not the grid walk, it's the grid run, and we're heading right now. Weldon, who you got?
I got Dave Faustino, engineer for Will Power. He's on a tear on these street and road courses. What is it that makes him so special?
Well, he's definitely got the talent to be fast, but, you know, I think these tracks are really confusing and tricky to set up the car, and I think he's got a knack for these low-grip circuits. And at the end of the day, I think he knows when the car is good enough, and he has to concentrate on his driving. And, you know, when he turns inward and starts to focus on his driving and he says that car's good enough, then he goes really quick.
Okay, too much information.
Good luck today.
PT, we got the thrill from West Hill. Paul Tracy, how many cars are you going to pass in the first 2 laps, brother?
I don't know. I hope 8 or 9.
8 or 9, okay.
Pass 8 or 9 if I can, but it depends how packed up it is on the start.
I got 11 in the pool. Thanks. Okay.
Alan McDonald down here. He's moved from Sam Schmidt's team to Andretti and Andretti Autosports and made a huge impact. Marco won last weekend and Mike Conway strong this weekend. How's his chances for the race?
I hope they're good. Yeah, I hope they're good. Yeah, we were good in the warm-up and
You know, he feels the car's pretty decent. It'll be interesting to see how the Reds last.
Well, no one doubts Alan McDonald, so good luck for the race.
All right. Last time we talked to Marco Andretti, he went from 17th to 1st. Kid, it's a little tougher this week. What do you think?
We're going to try again. We're rolling the dice a little bit today.
Completely changed the car.
Yeah, big time. We'll see.
All right, thanks.
Martin Paré, the engine.
It's been all right. No, we had to adjust, you know, for various tire wear and all that, but we'll be all right.
Well, good luck.
Hey, Vince Kramer, the team manager for HVM. What about our girl Simona? What are you looking for today?
We're ready to go. We want to just keep the car underneath her. You know, she wants to keep the car nose clean like everybody else is probably saying, you know, and I think we'll have a good finish.
Why do we call it pork chop?
We're calling it pork chop because the other car was so pretty and this one was a little bit ugly at the time, but we've worked really hard on it. It's a good car now.
Good luck.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, I've got Rob Edwards, team manager for Sam Schutz Motorsports, and Alex Tagliani in his home race. What are you expecting today from him?
I think some pit strategy for sure will play into it. Hopefully we've got the right one and we can move up through the field.
All right.
Good luck. Good luck.
I've got the man that's passed more cars this year than anybody, Tony Kanaan, the man who 2 rest restarts was invented for. Your prediction today, you will go from this spot till 6. 6.
The first yellow.
All right. Tony Kanaan will finish 6th. I say probably 4th because there's going to be 3. We're going to go to break. We're going to get back and we're going to talk about the start of this race. And I can hear my producer. He loves me.
IndyCar Central on Versus is presented by Verizon, official wireless partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
Overhead view of the track here in downtown Toronto, Ontario, and we welcome you back to IndyCar Central on Versus. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Jan Bikas over. Well, who is this? He's back. Wally Dallenbach, who's been away for a while. We welcome him back for the rest of the year now. And talk about an international traveler. This guy was on TV last night doing the NASCAR race at Kentucky and jumped on a plane this morning, got here about an hour ago, and we welcome you back.
Well, this is Toronto. I was willing to do whatever it took to get here. I love this place.
Now, I know you haven't been here very long, but you have been very familiar with the racetrack itself.
This place is really, really physical for a driver, and that's what I like about this place. These guys are in great shape, and they're going to need every bit of it today because the place is very bumpy. You don't get much rest time. You have to attack this racetrack, so that's why I think it's going to be a really fun race to watch.
And I think the person we want to watch, the person who's impressed me, Scott Dixon, on the front row, but that might be a blessing, it might be a curse. You heard that question that was asked from and to Scott Dixon, and that is that a blessing, a curse on the outside? That's going to be a good first corner.
Well, not only will the 3 of us be up in the booth, but Dan Weldon will also join us, so we have a lot of fun times coming up here. But right now, let's go down trackside as we begin with the opening ceremonies for this race here in Toronto.
And now, race fans, escorted by soldiers from the 32 Canadian Brigade Group, the Canadian flag is carried by leading seaman Nathan Kuffner, while Master Corporal Colin Hilchey presents the American flag. And now, race fans, we ask that you remain standing and join Jordan John, Canadian singing sensation, for the singing of the American national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly gleaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does thy star-spangled banner yet wave for the land
race fans, here to sing your Canadian national anthem. Please welcome Private Mark Powney of the Governor General's Horse Guards, accompanied by the composite band of the 32nd Canadian Brigade Group.
Oh, Canada, our home, native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
A nice round of applause, race fans, for Private Mark Powney and Canadian singing sensation Jordan John.
Excellent job of both national anthems. Always great to come north of the border and visit our Canadian friends and see some great racing here in Toronto. Of course, it's the first of 2 races that we will have in Canada. 2 weeks from now, we'll be in Edmonton, Alberta, to the west of here. And here is the flyover of some CF-18s from Bagotville, Quebec. Adding to the excitement of this Honda Indy Toronto. Thanks for joining us for IndyCar Central on Versus, presented by Verizon. Well, all that's left is the command to start engines and then the race itself. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm out of time and all I got is 4 minutes. 4 minutes, hey. I'm out of time and all I got is 4 minutes. 4 minutes, hey. If you feel it, it must be real. Just say the word and I'ma give you what you want. Time is we only got 4 minutes to say the word. Hesitating. Never mind. Time is waiting. We only got 4 minutes to say the word. Hesitating. We only got 4 minutes. 4 minutes. So keep it up to be a break.
Toronto, Ontario, Canada plays host this year to the silver anniversary of the Honda Indy Toronto race. Starting in 1986 with Bobby Rahal, great names like Unser, Tracy, Fittipaldi have all left their mark here. But only one driver has won this race a record 7 times. From his first win in 1989 to his last in 2001, Michael Andretti is king of Toronto. Coming off his first win in nearly 5 years at Iowa Speedway, his son Marco strives to add to the family tradition today. 2 drivers look to stand in his way and add to the pair of wins each have here at Toronto. Claiming victory in 1999 and 2009, Dario Franchitti currently leads the championship point standings over Will Power, who lost 20 points when disaster struck twice in Iowa. Starting with an early pit miscue and finishing with hard contact against the turn 2 wall. Will looks to return to Toronto, where he first won in 2007 and again last year. Heading into a swing of road and street races, the season starts its downhill run over the halfway mark, where the competition for each championship point begins to tighten. Continuing in Toronto today, every turn of every lap awaits the unknown. The drivers are ready to fight and see who the Queen City crowns victor today. The 10th of 18 races in this year's IZOD IndyCar Series. We are in the streets of Toronto, Ontario, and this is the 25th anniversary of this race. Some of the greatest names in open wheel racing have tasted victory here. Who will it be today? Alex Tagliani, one of the Canadians that will be competing here this afternoon. Our pole sitter is Will Power. He obliterated the track record yesterday that had been previously held by Justin Wilson. The Grand Marshal for this race is Dan Aykroyd. He's going to be giving the command. This was a little bit earlier when our man Dan Weldon took Dan Aykroyd around this track in a pace car, and you could just see the excitement on Dan Aykroyd's face. Let's go down for the command to start engines.
Toronto race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome back comedic legend Dan Aykroyd to give the command. Drivers, start your engines!
The command has been given.
Are fired, and the drivers now await the signal to pull away from the pit area. Let's take a closer look at this 1.7-mile racetrack. Jan?
And Bob, of course, this is a racetrack that all the drivers look forward to because it has a little bit of everything. But right from the get-go, a good passing zone into turn 1. But this is a long approach to turn 3 that Dan and I talked about, 170 miles an hour, and then a great out-braking opportunity. I say a little bit of everything. Here's a second-gear corner, then a third, then a fourth. Nice high-speed and mid-speed corners, with the slowest corner being turn 3 at 40. Another passing zone into turn number 8. Back and forth, and as Wally said, a very, very physical racetrack.
Will Power will start on pole today as he and the others have moved away for the first of 3 laps before we get the green.
And Will Power has been incredible on these street courses. I mean, you know, you take a look at, you know, the technical part of this racing and what he does. We're on board with him here. He's so good here. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for him on the Penske team, you would think the Penske team was struggling. And it really is a lot of fun to watch this guy get around one of these courses.
Will he continue his pretty much domination of the first half of the season and starting in road and street courses? We will see as the afternoon goes along. All 26 cars are on the track, and here are the starters in today's race. On the pole is Will Power with a new track record of 106.047 miles an hour. Scott Dixon will start on the outside. Row number 2, points leader Dario Franchitti and Mike Conway, who won the race in Long Beach. In row number 3, it's Graham Rahal and Oriol Servia.
And Oriol Servia, of course, drives for Newman Haas. Newman Haas has been in all 25 of these races. They've won it 7 times. He could be a favorite.
4th row, former winner here at this track, Sebastian Bourdais and Ryan Hunter-Reay. Canadian Alex Tagliani lines up beside Ryan Briscoe. And then in row number 6, Justin Wilson and Elio Castroneves.
And for Justin Wilson, his brother Stefan won the Indy Lights race earlier today. The reason he didn't qualify higher, he had a right rear tire going down in the 2nd session.
James Hinchcliffe didn't have enough fuel to complete his last lap during qualifying, or could have been way farther than he is. He starts in 13th alongside Vitor Meira. Sebastian Saavedra was 4th fastest in the morning warm-up. Tony Kanaan will start beside him. Simone De Silvestro and E.J. Viso will start in row number 9. In the 10th row, it's Takuma Sato, the pole sitter at Iowa, and Marco Andretti, the winner at Iowa. Then J.R. Hildebrand and Danica Patrick are back in row number 11. The 12th row, Canadian Paul Tracy along with James Jakes. And in row number 13, Charlie Kimball and Anna Beatrice. And we welcome Dan Walden, who has made his way from the pit walk to actually a pit run up to the booth.
Yeah, man, that was a good one. But I tell you what, Bob, this is going to be a really, really exciting race. I'm looking for Scott Dixon to try and go around the outside of Will Power at the first corner. And you guys have got to watch Paul Tracy coming from the back. He's going to be immense. He's Canadian. The fans are behind him. And he'll cause a stir, there's no doubt.
Jan has the Sunoco pit strategy.
And when you talk about people like Paul Tracy, they love to see this. Big, wide pit windows. When you see big differences between those numbers, that gives you the opportunity to play that alternate strategy. And Kevin, of course, anytime you've got wide windows, that makes the leaders nervous.
Yeah, a lot of different possibilities, Tim, with such a big window. How do you approach this race?
Well, it depends on really where you're running in the field, and you know, hopefully running up front, you're typically going to go as far as you can, and you can go to about lap 34, something like that, low 30s here. The problem is, if you catch yellow at that point in time, you end up mid-pack, so it's a bit of a risk because you're racing to win, but at the same time, guys behind you are going to short pit all day, so it'll be interesting.
What's this feeling like talking to another driver right now?
I've done it many times, obviously, but this is the first time where I haven't been in Elio's pit, so I've got mixed emotions on that front, but you know, I'm sure we've got a great chance to win this race here with Will today as well.
Tim Cindric calling strategy for Will Power today. Helio Castroneves for the first time in his Penske career as someone else in his year to start a race. It's John Erickson.
All right, and we have some onboard cameras to supplement our coverage today. Here's the National Guard onboard camera. That's J.R. Hildebrand, of course, starting back in the 22nd position. Canadian James Hinchcliffe carries our Firestone onboard camera. Up a little bit ahead of him is Justin Wilson, who'll be starting in the 11th position. Ryan Briscoe has the IZOD onboard camera. He will start in 10th spot. And Dario Franchitti will also be carrying an onboard camera, along with our pole sitter, Will Power, closing in behind that Honda Civic Pacer. You could tell that Dan Aykroyd, Dan, was, well, it looked like he was scared to death.
I was going to say, the most happy he was when you pulled off the racetrack. Well, because I was watching it live, and I'm like, hey, as soon as he smiled, it was like, oh, he pulled in.
Well, hopefully he had a good time. But I got to tell you, that Honda Civic's got some pick-me-up. It was, you know, fun to be back on the racetrack. I'm currently unemployed, so, you know, to get back around the streets of Toronto was a lot of fun.
Well, it's going to be a fun race. We got Jan and Dan and Wally and me in the booth and a full complement of pit reporters. And we're looking forward to 85 laps of great competition here in Toronto. It's a little cloudier than it was predicted to be, but the 25th anniversary Honda Indy Toronto gets the green flag. Here we go.
Wow. Dixon didn't waste any time getting in line when that spot opened, did he? He didn't want to go on the outside.
He definitely tucked in, and you could see Will Power's eager to get a good start. He doesn't want those Ganassi cars in front of him. Ganassi have got two teammates there to help, or a teammate to help, and he doesn't have that.
As Mike Conway running in third, and Dario trying to make the pass to the inside, but was unable to do so. Two abreast through this corner here, and it looks like everybody is going to get through safely. All right.
There may have been a bit of nose-to-tail contact between some Penske teammates. Looked like Briscoe and Castroneves, but again, reasonably clean into turn 3. That's a good start.
That was a little love tap for the Penske teammates right there, just showing each other some friendship.
Scott Dixon staying right with Will Power here. Mike Conway back a little bit in third position. They come off of quarter number 11 and complete lap number 1 of 85.
But I've got to tell you, Dixon's going to pile the pressure on Power. He's desperate to, you know, to get a win, and you know, he's going to be doing everything he can.
Franchitti fourth, Serbia fifth, and Ray Hall, Bourdais, Hunter Ray, Tagliani, and Wilson are the top 10. Field spreading out just a little bit as they come off of the second corner and head down into turn number 3 once again. There's Scott Dixon, second place right now, chasing down the leader of the race. Will Power took the lead at the drop of the green flag.
It's amazing they got through that first lap. I mean, because it's almost like an accordion effect when you get in here. This is Wilson right here.
Now look over to the right. You'll see that Briscoe gets right into the back of Tagliani, then into Ryan Hunter-Reay. On board with Briscoe.
That's a pretty good shot right there.
Ryan Briscoe has reported back, we get from the pits, that he thinks he may have wing damage in that contact.
And he lost a couple of positions, back to 13th now. The man who has made the greatest move, Dan Weldon, not surprisingly, is Paul Tracy, who's gained 5 spots.
Oh, that man's on a mission. But you know what was very surprising to me was how they gave each other room going into turn 3 on that first lap. I was expecting.
Whoa! Just as you were saying.
Turning Kanaan. Oh, and he's got damage. He's got damage.
Briscoe and Kanaan come together, and there is Tony Kanaan as the first yellow comes out. First full course caution.
And I can guarantee you, being Brazilian, he's not very calm right now.
Well, let's take a look at it in replay.
Boy, it almost looked like Briscoe when he took off, it kind of pushed into Tony Kanaan.
Late contact.
It's pretty close, guys. They didn't give each other very much room. Briscoe's, just had to turn out because of a little bit of oversteer. That kind of pulled him away from the wall and caught him.
And I agree. Look, Tony Kanaan leaves it open. Tony Kanaan knows that he's there. Tony gives him room, but just as you both said, that front gives up, gets right into him, and Tony's got to be thinking, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. I gave you the inside line. You still punted me into the tires.
Take a look at it once again. Look for damage on Briscoe. I don't see any from that.
You'd be surprised. You can hit, as long as Briscoe hit another car square, and you'd be surprised if you hit square, you can actually hit a car in front of you. Not that I've done this, guys. I'm just saying. You can hit a car pretty hard, and it doesn't do too much damage.
4 laps completed here at Toronto in the Honda Indy Toronto under caution because of an incident involving Ryan Briscoe and Tony Kanaan. Will Power is your leader.
The Honda Indy Toronto on Versus is brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD IndyCar Series. And by IZOD, the official apparel of the IZOD IndyCar Series, available at Macy's.
Right now, Will Power leads here at Toronto, and Scott Dixon is second. But Dixon won last year, but not without controversy at Edmonton, as Elio was penalized for blocking and will return to Edmonton for the redesigned Edmonton City Center Airport 2 weeks from today, July 24th at 2 o'clock Eastern. And that is always an exciting race course because they have a lot of straightaways and a lot of passing zones. It's a newly designed track that the cars will be competing on. 2.2 miles in length, 13 turns, and 2 very long straightaways. Down to Kevin Lee.
Ryan Briscoe came in just a moment ago. Not too much damage on that front wing. They might have been able to continue, but they decided to change it to be safe. He said he felt like everything was in pretty good shape. Certainly, he took some damage there, but the real damage came from Tony Kanaan. Significant damage as we watch again here, and there's a look at Kanaan's car on the hook out of this race early after the contact, and Tony not real pleased, so we have a real good idea now of where he thinks the fault lies in this incident.
There's no question about that. I mean, he's got a reason to be angry. When he left plenty of room, like Jon said earlier, and it's kind of like one of those deals where when you leave that much room and you still get hit, you just shake your head and go, what are you thinking about?
Why did I leave the room at all?
Yeah.
I should have chopped him.
Well, it's an early out for Tony Kanaan here this afternoon, and Briscoe, because of the pit stop, has dropped back to 25th position. We did have some other cars that came in for a brief stop during this caution period. This is the 15th consecutive race that Will Power has led on a street or road course. The last road course race he did not lead was here in Toronto 2 years ago. Of course, he's the defending champion, having won here in the streets last year. On board with James Hinchcliffe here, who's up to 11th position.
And Bob, I think James Hinchcliffe and Oriol Servia, both Newman Haas cars, they seem, you know, very good over a long run. The warm-up was promising for them, and here we go for a double file restart.
Yep, here they come off of corner number 11. Nice formation. Wow, for the restart. Green comes out once again.
And look at Conway. He's going to try for the inside. Oh, no, Scott just shut the door there.
And look at Franchitti try to take third from
he's got it.
Conway, and he does.
He nearly got around his teammate too.
Yeah.
He was pushing the envelope, but we saw Dario in Iowa, fighter, doesn't like to sit behind, and he's not going to like Will Power leading.
So will Dixon try to make a move right now in turn 3? He looked at it.
Tagliani around the outside of Hunter Ray.
Oh, wow, look at this.
Wow, that's pretty impressive right there.
That's a lot of rows of 2x2. Tony Kanaan was wishing that would have worked with Briscoe.
Yeah.
There's Marco going around the outside of Paul Tracy. That's a brave boy right there.
Oh, and now Tracy's on the outside.
Not much room there.
Yeah, and Paul Tracy won that battle, as I would have probably expected, to tell you the truth.
Remember, Marco Andretti's in different colors. He's in the red Dr. Pupper color. Sorry, that's Saavedra now going to the inside of Bourdais.
Nice pass right there.
Saavedra, we mentioned, was very quick in practice this morning, 4th quick, so he may have a car to contend with, or at least for a top 10 car. Back up front, we have power by about 2 car lengths over Scott Dixon. And Robbie Floyd is with, I'm sure, a very disappointed Tony Kanaan.
Extremely disappointed. Talking about Saavedra had a top 10 car. You thought you had a top 10 car, I'm sure, after passing 4 cars in that first lap.
It was so stupid. I mean, he had plenty of room. I don't know what he did, but right in the beginning of the race, I mean, why you want to do that? I mean, plenty of room to pass, and I guess when your teammate's winning a lot and you're not, you feel under pressure, so he took it on me.
And you told me before the race you were going to, it looks like we have a crash with Danica in there, and one of your teammates, Takuma Sato.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. A stupid moves, silly moves, that's what happens. And on my end, very disappointed. I didn't expect that from Ryan. He's a guy that runs in the front all the time, so very, very disappointed.
The guys said what you said as well. He probably shouldn't have been in that position. You were saying to me earlier that you were going to try and take it easy those first few laps, especially try and play things out.
And I was. I mean, I had a great start and gained, 4 positions, and I was just hanging in there. I saw Ryan coming. I did what I was supposed to do. In the braking, I move over. He lost control and hit me. So I would like to see a penalty on him because, taking the car out and, we're going for the championship and he's fighting with me for the 5th spot. So we'll see what's going to happen.
Back to you, Bob.
Tony Kanaan is 4th in the point standings heading into this event, 92 behind the leader, Dario Franchitti. As the rest of the field comes through now, turn number 3, where the incident involving Danica Patrick and Takuma Sato took place.
As a tire going down, she will make it to pit lane. Let's see. So she goes to the inside of Sato. That is turn 1. And the incident, of course, was in turn 3. So it looks like Sato may try to get that position back. Oh, no. He just gets into the back of her.
Well, it almost looked like he was going to go to her left, and she was kind of going to the left. It looked like they were kind of aiming for the same spot of the track. I think it took him off guard.
Looking over the Patrick car very closely to see if they have any other damage. Hopefully she can get back in competition. We don't have a full course caution. It was only a area caution. And so race is continuing.
Sometimes what can happen is when you sit very tight behind another car and you go to brake over those bumps, the car doesn't have that same level of downforce. It gets light, and unfortunately you run right into the back of the car in front.
And it is bumpy going into the 3, and we saw yesterday during qualifying into turn number 8.
Guys, it's amazing. Your feet actually move around in the floor of the car. It's those changes of surface too, which not only is it bumpy, but it takes away grip from the race car. And this is why the circuit is such a challenge.
Right there is turn number 8. Little bumpy going through there.
And Graham Rahal having a good race, staying with Mike Conway. He's been quick all weekend, and he's part of that Ganassi stable, so they're obviously very, very comfortable.
There's Rahal running back in 5th position. There's Mike Conway, who is currently in 4th, and Rahal right behind him. Once again, the driver who has gained the most positions since the green flag is Paul Tracy, who has moved up 9, and Charlie Kimball has gained 5 positions.
And Mike Conway is going to be happy with where he's at right now. He's had a really tough run, has done a phenomenal job all weekend, and you know, be kind of just letting the race play out and hopefully move forward with some pit stops.
And there is Paul Tracy, who currently runs in the 15th position, flying Make-A-Wish colors here in this race. Simona De Silvestro in the green car, number 78.
And boys, I can tell you, Vitor Meira is going to be looking in his mirror under braking for turn 3, because you never know where Tracy's going to come from. I can promise you that much.
There are the 3 biggest movers. Sebastian Saavedra has also gained 4 spots, moving from 15th to 11th.
Yeah, Tracy, I talked to Paul this morning. He was pretty frustrated after the qualifying deal. He really felt that they had a much better car and knew they were going to have to do some things to get some track position today.
We have the use of some, there's Danica. She is back on track, but just ahead of Will Power. We have the super slow-mo for you today, watching these cars go over the bumping and the curves here at Toronto.
I'm looking to control your budget. Yes. Our Name Your Price tool shows you a range of options. You pick a price that works for you.
Perfect. Only one thing could make this better.
80s montage! Progressive 80s montage. He drops in boxes, but it's okay. We keep dancing. Hey, it's that guy. Progressive Name Your Price tool, yeah.
Helping you save. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
In IndyCar racing, it's all about speed, and the action happens in the blink of an eye. So you need something that helps you keep up, like IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. It lets you keep pace with in-race audio, up to the second leaderboards, highlights, and even driver tweets. Download it now! Before the season passes you by!
We're trying to take it to the next level at every step, and Mothers is a partner we trust.
Mothers really helps make our cars stand out.
It's genuine, it's authentic, and it's best in class.
We actually use Mothers wheel care products during our production process.
It's so easy to use. Just spray it on and wash off. It's just that simple.
Trusted and used by industry pros at Pirelli Tire North America, SMS Supercars, and HRE Performance Wheels. Mother's full line of wheel cleaners make cleaning any wheel a snap.
Bob, you're a big Eyes Out IndyCar Series fan. What can IndyCar Nation do for you?
Driver autographs.
Yeah, we can do that.
Really? VIP access during race weekends.
That's easy.
Exclusive web video for real IndyCar fans.
Not a problem at all.
Can I have your helmet?
Join for free today by clicking on IndyCar Nation at IndyCar.com.
Nice try, Bob.
Welcome back to lap 13 of the Honda Indy Toronto. And just a few laps ago, when Danica Patrick came into the pits and went to exit her pit, she gave the old thumbs up. Good try to Takuma Sato, who she got in a fracas with just a moment ago. So no, it wasn't the #1 finger, but it wasn't a good job either, Bob.
Well, as Paul Tracy indicated in our pre-race show, there's probably going to be lots of hand gestures used in this race this afternoon. And we eavesdrop on Danica Patrick's radio just a few seconds ago.
Sato is an idiot. He just didn't even hit the brake. That was a hard hit. I really don't think he hit his brake. It was so hard. Like my jaw slammed the top of my mouth. It was so hard.
Wow.
And by the way, Bob, the reason we just saw Oriol Servia make a pit stop, the window just opened. That's the gambler stop. You take that now because the window opens, and they're hoping that sometime before the leaders pit, they get a caution.
And Jan, that's a great point. When you listen to Dario's on board, you can hear him feathering out of the throttle early down the straight into turn 3. Dario's saving fuel. He's sitting there comfortable. He's probably hoping he can go longer than those other two and make up that track position.
And I was going to ask you, Dan, because it sounded to me right before we went to break like he was almost short-shifted. I didn't know if he was short-shifted because this place is so, you know, because you lose traction so much if you go all the way up through the gears, or if it's a fuel deal. But it sounds like it might be a fuel thing.
He's saving fuel. You can just hear it's very gentle with his with his foot to the power, but also coming off. This is the guy that's the best at saving fuel in the paddock, in my opinion.
And Marco is in, Robbie.
Yeah, he's coming early, going off strategy as well. He went a different direction than Mike Conway setup that he had on yesterday's car in qualifying. It didn't suit his driving style. The Dr. Pepper car was just too loose on entry, so they switched things around, and he's going off strategy today, guys.
And again, what you're looking for, you want to stop now if you're gambling, and you want a yellow before the leaders pit. Once the leaders pit, that whole advantage goes away. So they have, well, they have a lot. They've got like 20 laps to play with if the leaders stay out.
Guys, and I can tell you, Scott Dixon is pressuring Will Power. We're not sure exactly how those reds are going to last, and if Scott piles the pressure on Will, maybe his tires will go away first. So that's an interesting point and the storyline to follow.
Good battle for 6th position. There's the 5th place car of Graham Rahal, and here comes Alex Tagliani, and right behind him is Hunter Ray, then Wilson, then Hinchcliffe, and Sebastian Bourdais. So Tagliani is the best running Canadian at the moment. As we go on board with Justin Wilson running 8th.
Justin Wilson's phenomenal around this track. Been very, very successful. See, you can hear him lifting out the power too.
And Ryan Briscoe moving out of pit lane.
He might as well gamble because he was near the back after the contact.
And as tight as everybody's running, that's a fine line to start saving fuel and not get passed.
Oh, yeah.
Bumpiest corner on the racetrack there. Car very, very nervous. You know, it's very easy to lock tires, particularly as they start to wear.
Stefan Wilson, Justin's brother, won the Firestone Indy Lights race earlier today here at Toronto. The very first victory for that young man, and quite an emotional victory lane as Sebastian Saavedra trying to get around Elio Castroneves as we go down to Lindy.
Sato is back out on the race course now, but he lost a significant amount of time in the pits. Take a look at the right side of your screen. That's why they had to replace the front wing. They also had a bent front left side toe link. They had to work on that for quite a bit of time before he got out. Not the start he wanted. Just like everyone else, he planned to be conservative, smart, try to stay out of trouble. Not really his nature. He likes to go out there and attack, so now that's what he has to do, try to get back up there, guys.
Yeah, he's brought back all the way to 25th position and is 6 laps down.
And that's a shame for Takuma. At Iowa, he was strong. Here, he was perhaps not as strong as he would like, but he was still reasonable with a long way to go in the race and just can't quite close on a race weekend right now.
Dario is 3rd. Up ahead of him, Scott Dixon, and the leader of the race, Will Power. And we have completed 18 of 85 laps. Back of Franchitti, Conway is running in 4th position, and Graham Rahal is 5th. In 6 through 10, Tagliani, Hunter Ray, Wilson, Hinchcliffe, and Bourdais. Welcome back to the Honda Indy Toronto from Exhibition Place in downtown Toronto, Ontario. On board with the leader of this race, Will Power. He was a pole sitter, is led all the way. Scott Dixon is right there behind him, and then comes 3rd place, Dario Franchitti. We are 20 laps into this 85-lap event, and we have had some pit stops in the not too distant. Tracy and Elio Castroneves both came in for a pit stop.
And the idea again is to get off strategy. Now these leaders are not too worried now because there's 4 or 5 cars that have pitted. The more people that peel off to get on an alternate strategy, the more nervous they will become, because if there is a caution, they'll give all those guys a free pass.
Quite a gap from Graham Rahal in 5th back to Alex Tagliani, who is still being pressured by Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And they were both on the push to pass there, so you know, Tagliani's feeling some heat. Hunter-Reay is going to want to be up with his teammate Mike Conway. It seems like he has a very good car.
Well, on a similar racetrack at Long Beach, you know that Ryan Hunter-Reay, that was his race. He had it in the bag, essentially, until he had a gearbox issue. And then, of course, his teammate, Mike Conway, came screaming past a couple cars for the win. So he's hopeful to get some clear racetrack.
Sebastian Bourdais, a former winner of this race, as Ryan Hunter-Reay comes in, is running, well, he moves up a spot now to 8th position. Let's go down for the pit stop.
Hunter-Reay has been hoping for a good result. He's hoping that the second half of the season really starts a new season because it has been treacherous so far. 20th in points. He started on the red tires. Those are the softer compound. He's going to the primary, the normal blacks. Routine stop for Ryan Hunter-Reay. He's out now, hoping for some luck in the caution.
Just 8.4 seconds, and Ryan is back in the race. Now, in the drivers' meeting, they were told they could get their 2 left side tires on the left side of those marks coming out of the pit area, as you saw Ryan Hunter-Reay do. On board once again with Justin Wilson, now running in 7th.
And you see Sebastian Bourdais ahead. I had a great chat with him this morning saying that they're making some progress, but that car, his Dale Coyne entry, they have never put it on a 7-post shaker. That's essentially how you get your shock absorbers tuned in. And now Wilson's going to take advantage. The more people that pit here, Bob, the leaders are really going to start getting nervous that some hot dogs are making early stops.
And they're going to feel vulnerable in that situation. But, you know, I think a couple of the guys felt like they were being held up by Tagliani.
Kevin.
Justin Wilson comes in a little bit earlier. He's won here before, back in the Champ Car days in 2005. His little brother won in lights. Stop is fairly routine, just over 7 seconds. That's a very good stop for Justin Wilson and Dreyer and Reinbold.
And you saw the guys twist the knobs on the front wing. That's the Adson front wing. Oh, that's close between Elio and Justin. And Justin gave him some room there. That's a sign of a professional race car driver.
Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor, as they say. He could have forced the issue and taken them both out. Rahal now putting pressure on Conway.
And that's 3 Ganassi cars in the top 5. So, you know, obviously they've got a great package for this racetrack. And it seems as the race goes on, Rahal's getting stronger.
As Alex Tagliani comes in for a pit stop. A top 10 contender.
Oh, and the leaders. Oh, he took a lot of front wing. We're seeing a lot of people adding front wing, meaning that their cars are pushing, having understeer. They want more front grip.
All right, let's go down to Robin Miller with an observation.
Hey, Bobby, I've been down to turn 1. Dan Weldon can probably chime in on this. The really fast guys, the first 5 or 6 guys are sliding through turn 1, and TV doesn't do justice. I mean, it is a thrill show as they slide through turn 1 because they go from concrete to pavement.
And Robin's absolutely right. It's very, very difficult as a driver. You've got to have extreme confidence in your race car, because as soon as you change surfaces, the car just slides, and it's that confidence where you can carry that speed through and get on the power that really makes a huge difference with the lap time.
Did you have any moments in the Civic when you were in turn 1?
I have to be honest. In the practice run that I did, I nearly lost it. I couldn't believe it. I was getting too excited. But, yeah, I was going through the fast right-hand kink. And, you know, you can push that thing. It gives you great confidence. But then I kind of ran out of road. And
speaking of getting sideways, here's Paul Tracy.
There's the king of sideways right there.
And like I said, that was under braking. That's, you know, what we were talking about earlier, where he got on the brakes, and now that the tires are starting to wear out, they're becoming a handful.
Yeah, these cars really do. I mean, they've got just under 700 horsepower. As the tires start to wear, the bumps, it becomes a handful.
Tracy's dropped back to 21st position. He's one of those who pitted early.
Now, Bob, if for some reason there is no caution between now and when the leaders pit, all is going to be equal. But all these people here that have made pit stops, this particular group, they are definitely praying for yellow right now.
And we understand that Power maybe and the 2 Ganassi cars running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd coming in around lap number 35. So we have time for a commercial break. Stay with us. You're watching live coverage on Versus of the Honda Indy Toronto.
If we catch a good breeze, we could be there by Thursday.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I've always wanted to go to Vegas in the summer.
I'm gonna float over some pools, work on my tan, maybe pop over to the golf course or try one of those fancy restaurants.
I knew Bubble, who knew Bubble, who's in a bottle of champagne at one of those clubs, and she was dancing when all of a sudden...
Barbara? Barbara!
world of Izod.
That's the way.
Introducing Mio, a revolutionary water enhancer. Add a little, add a lot. For a drink that's just the way you like it. Make it yours. Make it Mio.
For 125 years, Sunoco's been propelling people forward to their destinations and to their victories. And as of 2011, we'll do the same for some of the world's greatest drivers as we become an official fuel partner of IndyCar. We'll fuel their victories the same way we've been fueling yours. Because winning is the greatest feeling in the world.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
James Hinchcliffe relinquishes 6th position for a pit stop. He's finished and going away, and while we were away, you saw in non-stop, Dario Franchitti made a stop. We predicted maybe lap number 35, but there's probably a good reason for it, Jan.
Well, now you'll see he falls right next to Ryan Hunter-Reay, and that's what happens when you go on this other strategy. I just think, Bob, the more people that peel off, like James Hinchcliffe, it just makes you so vulnerable at the front. Dario Franchitti figured, hey, they're being held up by a slow car. I'm going to pit.
And you know one thing I noticed about James Hinchcliffe? He was on the reds. Everybody else is on the blacks. He's got to make these laps count. He's got to use that extra grip to try and pass some cars, and he could be a contender.
And again, I think Dario pitted because he thought the two ahead of him were getting slowed a little bit by James Jakes, but now James Jakes is actually pulling away from them, so they've probably gone into fuel save mode. And look at Dixon's going to the inside.
Yeah, Dixon is putting the pressure. I don't think is really used to this too much on the street courses. I mean, Dixon is really applying the pressure.
Now, I don't know if
the pit stops.
Sorry, I don't know if our screen's correct, but Power was on that overtake later than Dixon, so he was lucky there. I thought Scott would kind of force the issue, but Scott has been on fantastic form all weekend. He's been dancing that car around over the bumps, and you know, that boy wants to win bad. There's no doubt about it.
Power may be struggling a little bit right now because Dixon's car does look better.
I think you're absolutely right, but you know what we've got to touch on is how.
And that's the caution. If this is a full course caution,
and it is,
it's gonna cook the leaders. So all those people who pitted early are going, yeah, baby, we did it.
Front, yeah.
Wow.
See, I told you they were going to be getting nervous, and it bit them.
Will Power is not Tagliani's friend right now.
No.
And vice versa.
These two guys just got burned.
The full course caution is coming out. And here comes Elio.
It'll be a closed pit, but you can see there was some front wing damage. You come in and fix it.
Guys, what a track this is. It bodes for some great racing. This is really going to change it up. We've got double file restarts.
And here's the reason for the full course caution. That's Elio.
Locked him up a little bit. We saw that earlier.
Tagliani stalls in turn number 3. There's the onboard shot from Justin Wilson.
Guys, and guess what? Elio took out Paul Tracy a year or two ago. Now he's taken out another Canadian. This is going to be unbelievable.
But he took somebody out and caused a yellow, and his teammate was leading, which is the one thing they didn't want.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Is this going to be happy families in the Penske camp?
That's a train wreck.
Oh, man.
And I'll tell you what, sometimes, you know, when your teammate is running really, really well and you're not, you start overdriving race cars. I mean, you know, Elio and those guys, they're trying to find something. They're trying to make that. You get frustrated when you're a driver when your teammate is doing so well.
Guys, and we've got to say, Helio Castroneves and Ryan Briscoe, they are great race car drivers. Will Power is doing an exceptional job. He's out-qualifying them by a big margin, so credit to him. But, you know, you can never discount Helio. That guy's a fighter, and obviously Ryan Briscoe, like I say, is very talented too.
Now a little bit of predictions here, looking through who has pitted. Charlie Kimball has pitted, but it was early on, so if he peels onto pit road, that's going to put Dario Franchitti up into the lead.
That's going to make Will Power extremely upset.
Oh, yes, because Will Power, once he cycles back in, is going to be way back. Of course, everyone has to peel off, and we're expecting a good group of them will have to.
And guess what we get to see? Paul Tracy on a double file restart. Guys, this is well worth watching.
And a Paul Tracy who already pitted, so he's going to move way up the order.
Now, how many laps are on his tires since he pitted, Paul Tracy?
Paul Tracy pitted on lap 19. So
12.
Yep.
11 or 12.
So we've got some difference in tires here. Obviously, Franchitti's probably sitting in the best spot because he just pitted.
And it's going to get interesting in the pit lane too.
Here they come. Lindy, coming to you.
Mike Conway's crew's been set up for quite a while, watching what the others do and also watching their driver, Mike Conway, because his lap times have been driving. He's got a lot of understeer as he comes in. He will most likely get a front wing adjustment. You see them take off the reds and the blacks. Over to you, Kevin, for the leaders.
Will Power has the first pit position. He's going to slightly scuff blacks. He's packing it full of ethanol. Scott Dixon with the sticker blacks. Dixon a great stop, but not quite good enough. Mike Conway gets out third, then Graham Rahal and Sebastian Bourdais.
And our Sunoco race off pit road shows you that Simona De Silvestro gained one spot off the pit lane.
And there's our new leader, Dario Franchitti, because Kimball did pull off.
And they continue to work on Helio's car.
Incredible how it just changes.
Well,
because
that's the thing. You just knew we kind of set up the stage. Yeah. They were in the danger zone. They were in the danger zone. And finally, Dario's team said, you know, this is too risky. Let's pit. And, man, it paid big dividends. And look at Servia there in second spot as well. We talked about Newman Haas. They know how to win this race.
Now, Servia's a sleeper. You know, he's always there at the end. He's doing a fantastic job. He's been out the car for a couple of years, really come back, taking this opportunity with open arms and doing a great job for the team. And that, you know, that goes to show what a great team Newman Haas is also.
So Dario Franchitti is the leader, with Servia running second, then Wilson, Hunter-Ray, and Hinchcliffe as the work continues on Helio Castroneves' car on pit lane. And Danica is getting the wave around. There you see the overhead shot of Castroneves. Work on the front end of the car. Back in just a moment at Toronto. Under full course caution here in the streets of Toronto, the Honda Indy Toronto, 34 out of 85 laps are completed. Danica Patrick is 2 laps down, running back in 23rd position, and she talked just a few minutes ago on the radio about the marbles.
Radio, Chuck, to you guys. All my fronts went first. Just started creating big understeer. Oh my God, there's so much rubber.
Talked about all the rubber off the line right there is what she was complaining about, and it's getting pretty thick out there, and obviously a lot of these guys running on the reds, the tires are wearing out, and it's all that stuff when you get in it, when you hit it with an IndyCar, it's like hitting ice.
Yeah, the car really slides around, and we're only on lap 35 of 85, and you look at the marbles offline. You know, as these leaders have to pick through some of the cars, you see Will Power and Scott Dixon, they've got to overtake. When they get on that, they lose grip, and you know, that becomes very risky, particularly when you're fighting for a championship, and the guy leading the championship is leading the race too, so you've got to force the issue, and that's what Scott and Will Power are going to have to do.
And the drivers were told in the drivers' meeting they would sweep the corners as best they could during these full course cautions. All right, let's take another break under caution here at Toronto. The leader of the race is Dario Franchitti, with Oriol Servia running second.
100 years of racing.
To appreciate what that means, you need to start back in 1911, the inaugural Indianapolis 500-mile race. Ray Haroon won that year, and as he crossed the finish line that day on his Firestone tires, he surely had no idea what he was starting. A legacy of guts, grit, and determination on big tracks and small, famous tracks, and those not so famous. We raced, and we raced to win. Anywhere, any place, anytime. And over the years, as the cars got faster and the crowds grew bigger, a century passed. A century of building on the things we learned, of helping great men and women do great things. And still, it goes on. Because you see, just like old Ray would tell you, or Mario, or Al, Sam, or Elio, once you get that checkered flag fever, you can't shake it. You can only feed it. So what does it all mean? Looking back, it's pretty clear. Even after a century, there really is no finish line. Firestone, celebrating 100 years of racing.
Dario Franchitti and Will Power have dominated the IndyCar point standings all season long. But now, someone's in their rear-view mirror. It's Scott Dixon. And he's closer than he appears.
They call him the Iceman, but today he is red hot, and he is the winner.
Edmonton, Indy, July 24th at 2.
It's underway here at Toronto again. After the full course caution, you saw nonstop the green coming out. Franchitti holds on to the lead. We're on board with J.R. Hildebrand running in 10th position. And look at the traffic into 3.
Serbia wanted to take a look.
Guys, and look at
a little contact there.
Andretti getting by Vito. Oh, and Hildebrand gets pushed wide by Dixon.
Saavedra going wide. Here's Hildebrand. That's Graham Rahal taking the spot.
Nice pass right there.
Jay Asco's really sliding around there on that restart.
Back in third is Justin Wilson, then Ryan Hunter-Ray. Here's a good battle for fifth. That is Ryan Briscoe and James Hinchcliffe.
Oh, he gets to the inside. No, he gets chopped by
Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
And the problem is that's allowed Paul Tracy to close on in behind Ryan Briscoe. So, you know, he's going to have his mirrors full of a good Canadian that's desperate to get up front.
Here's Briscoe to the inside of James now into turn 1, and he gets him. And Scott Dixon moving up. Oh, Conway.
Vitor Mira.
All of a sudden, these guys smell the front. Like everybody's standing up in their seat a lot more right now.
And there's Paul Tracy on the inside of Hinchcliffe, and he just oh no!
Look at this.
He never gives an inch, never. This is two Canadians.
Yeah, look out!
There it goes. Tracy.
Boy, I think he saved that thing. He may have a little bit of damage on the wing, but boy, what a save.
Man.
Yeah.
That front wing.
Yeah, he does.
Who said Canadians aren't competitive, huh?
Really? And Hinchcliffe.
He
locked the rear brakes there.
Yeah, flat rear tire.
Wow.
Guys,
and James Jake spins.
Guys, and one thing that's been very apparent, Scott Dixon has been on a mission. He's up to 7, so he really has made the most of this restart. Here's Paul Tracy in the pits.
Yep, going to replace the nose on the car. This is the driving forward.
Oh, it's Ray.
Damage for Hunter-Ray.
Wow.
This is getting crazy.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like James Jake's also out. The rookie, his first time ever to even be on this course. The only driver to not see this course. Paul Tracy in the number 8. And he was in the catbird seat. When I talked to Jay Penske just a moment ago as we go to a full course yellow, I talked to Jay and he said, we're right where we want to be. If we can make it to lap 52, he passed 10 cars under green flag conditions earlier. Plus, we came in at the right time. Everything was looking good for Tracy until he got into it with his own countryman. He said that was one of the dumbest things he had ever seen as we take a look at it. Bob?
And here it is once again on board with Hinchcliffe. There is Tracy beside him, and contact coming up.
They make it all the way through turn 5, though. They just
good tight racing right there.
Keep after it. It's not till right here.
And they just didn't give each other an inch. You could see, actually, Paul Tracy had contact with Briscoe as he was trying to stay on the inside of Hinchcliffe. And then, you know, obviously Hinchcliffe just didn't give him quite enough room.
And J.R. Hildebrand and Scott Dixon as they head into turn number 3.
Yeah, look to the right, and you'll see Dixon.
Oh, yeah.
And Dixon knows he had to go forward on a restart. He did a phenomenal job. It's up to 6th place. You know, Will Power, he restarted in 12th and is only 11th. So Scott really capitalized on that. And, you know, he's going to feel better having less cars around him on this next double file restart. Randy's looking very smart. Randy Bernard is, you know, with these double file restarts, it's really spiced up the racing, certainly here at Toronto.
Down to Kevin in the Izod Pit Performance Center.
Let's talk about the performance of Team Penske. It has been un-Penske-like. Despite the fact that they've got a driver in the championship, they were not all that competitive at Indianapolis. Helio Castroneves is having another rough day, not on the lead lap. He's mired back in 12th in points. Will Power is back in 11th place, and bad luck today for Will Power, or you could say maybe a good strategy gamble for the likes of Dario Franchitti, who came in a little bit earlier than Scott Dixon. Ryan Briscoe is still in the mix, running in the top 5, but he desperately needs a win to make his season what he would like it to be. He has worked his way up to a rough start through no fault of his own, up to 6th in the championship.
Guys, and as we're on board with Briscoe here, I'm not sure Ryan Hunter-Reay has pitted for a new front wing. I could be wrong here, but I'm surprised he's not making the most of this yellow. There's Paul Tracy leaving the pit lane.
Long pit stop for Paul. He goes back out onto the course.
I hope for James Hinchcliffe's sake, he is nowhere near him.
Canadian fans saw contact between 2 of their favorites, James Hinchcliffe and Paul Tracy.
And that's what James had said. Someone asked him what was it like being an IndyCar driver for Hinchcliffe? And that's the confirmation, Dan, about the wing damage for Ryan Hunter-Reay. But for Hinchcliffe, he walked out to the applause of the crowd. He was feeling really good about himself until Paul Tracy walked out behind him and the crowd went wild. That was very humbling.
Now, this was in the morning warm-up and a bit of an on-track skirmish between Hinchcliffe and Tracy also that we showed you in our pre-race show, and a little bit of hand gesture there by James Hinchcliffe.
Almost lost it when he took his hand off to wave at him.
And you can just see, like, when you get on the power in these cars over those bumps, it really kicks around. It's this is one of the most physical racetracks. You've got to be on point all the time. It's very easy to lose the car over the bumps, and particularly as the tires get worn. And you've got to be on your game on these double file restarts. It's truly a spectacle for the fans watching. A lot of these guys, you see them back and forth with the wheel, trying to clean up the tires, and you know, that becomes very important when you've got a heat cycle on them.
On this date in 1994, Al Unser Jr. won at Cleveland. Second place was Nigel Mansell, and third, Paul Tracy. And in 2005, Justin Wilson won here at Toronto with Serbia second, and Alex Tagliani in third position. And you were at Goodwood, Dan, and I want to get this in because you talked with Nigel Mansell.
Yeah, I had a great time with him, and you know what's great about Nigel, he understands how competitive the IndyCar Series racing is, you know, what great racetracks we go to, and he's a huge fan.
Graham Rahal in.
And you may have noticed that he had a right rear tire down. So that could have been the contact, because Ryan Hunter-Reay, remember, we saw with wing damage. You don't know if that, but certainly for Rahal, he had a tire going down.
And Elio continues to sit on pit lane.
And guys, that right rear was definitely flat as they took it off. Graham thought that might be the case, but there's no doubt about it. It got a big puncture in it somewhere.
Okay.
Guys, IndyCar racing this year is so good to watch. We had a great race at Iowa. We've come to the streets of Toronto. Totally different racetrack, totally different area. And look, the racing is still as good as ever. It's great to watch.
And one of the reasons, by the way, the cautions are a little longer than they've been in the past is just as Bob had said earlier, they're taking the opportunity to sweep all the corners.
And we'll take another break. Franchitti leads at Toronto. Starting Friday at 4 Eastern, the premier celebrity golf event comes to Versus and NBC. Watch the excitement as athletes and celebrities come together in beautiful Lake Tahoe. The American Century Championship begins Friday at 4 Eastern on Versus and then continues Saturday and Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern on NBC. Well, here we go. Another restart coming up.
Now, is Hunter Ray's car going to turn with that wing like that?
Now, he's going to be light on front downforce. And, you know, it shows how competitive the series is. They don't want to give up the track position.
Not as close a restart as we have seen, but everybody looking like they're going to get through turn number 1 successfully. And Dario Franchitti now takes off ahead of Servia, Wilson, Hunter Ray, and Briscoe.
Dario's on that overtake, but we're getting to the interesting corner, guys. Let's see what happens.
Watch Scott Dixon try.
Going around the outside of Scott.
Wow, that was strong.
And Justin Wilson up the inside of Servia. Phenomenal move right there. Absolutely excellent move.
Right, Hunter Ray takes advantage of that.
Oh, Saavedra.
Saavedra's off course.
He looks like he's got right front damage, so he's obviously got in a skirmish with somebody.
And that wing on Ryan Hunter Ray is getting worse.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to hang on.
We're at the halfway point, and Franchitti leaves, but now Justin Wilson is running second. Ryan Hunter Ray third, then Servia and Andretti running fifth. And Marco Andretti has moved up 15 positions since the start of the race.
Wow.
Look at the box into turn 1.
Yeah. And you talk about how physical it is. Justin Wilson next Saturday is going to ride the Leadville 50. That's 50 miles on a mountain bike starting at 10,000 feet up to 12,000. And here's the super slow-mo of that touch. And Servia trying to hold it on the outside, but you can see him crank the wheel in. Come on, stick. And look at that brake dust. That was awesome.
Great shot.
He took Servia by surprise there.
Yeah.
And watch this. He dives right down the inside. Right at the last minute.
Perfect. Perfectly done.
That was a beautifully executed move. It really was. And he's pressuring Dario now.
Hunter Ray is hanging tough right there with that wing falling off.
And this is where he's going to struggle in this fast section here, where the front downforce, he needs it. This is the point where he's just the car's going to be difficult.
Wow.
You can see that left front just hanging down, but I'm surprised he's doing as well as he's doing right now with it. But it's going to get worse.
Yeah, it just keeps getting worse. And if that gets back into the tire, it'll cut that tire down.
And it shows you how much downforce these cars create. It really puts a lot of load on these front wings. Here's Dixon. Dixon's getting underneath Marco Andretti.
Starting to see some smoke off that left front on Hunter Ray's car, too.
And then Conway down the inside of Briscoe.
Yep. So Conway moves up to 7th rather. Briscoe back to 8th. On board with Briscoe.
Briscoe really didn't fight that one too much. Conway obviously had a good run and has been quick all weekend, so he's moving to the front. He's probably a little gun shy after his little run-in with Tony.
Yeah, but he was very aggressive on the previous restart. I wonder if Briscoe's run into some trouble with the balance of the car, because he was moving forward earlier. Look at Justin Wilson. Wouldn't that be something? After he had this race in the bag last year, then didn't get the tires cleaned of those marbles that Dan was telling us about earlier. He got back on the power, and the race slipped away from him, and he's looking for redemption.
And this is exactly what
Hunter Ray, I think it's probably cutting that tire down. I saw some smoke come off that left front a couple of corners ago.
Yeah, he's definitely dropping back.
Man.
I thought Dixon was going to have a go, Andretti. I'm on the edge of my seat again. Oh, there's Will Power going down the inside of Vitor Meira.
And Power will now go to 9th position as Ryan Hunter Ray's crew prepares for him to come in and get the new nose cone. But you just wonder why they didn't make that move under caution.
Extremely surprised about that one.
Falling back.
Yep. There's Mike Conway going around. Hunter Ray back to 7th.
And it goes to show you, though, with looking at Briscoe's position, he was the one that got into Canaan at the beginning, you know, and he's still up there. Things can change very quick on these road courses.
And here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay, Kevin.
Well, they debated it amongst themselves during the caution. They said it would take about an extra 5 seconds from a normal pit stop to change that front wing. They decided to roll the dice and stay out there to keep the track position, but it didn't work, so they come in and they try to make the front nose change, but it's taking longer than expected, and now they finally get it off, but that takes an extra 5 seconds that they had planned. They'll get it back on, they'll stay in the lead lap, but they'll lose all that track position.
Yeah, that's 5 seconds.
Oh, and a crash in 3, a track blocker.
Bourdais and Tracy. We talked about how they've had contact on similar real estate on many occasions.
Yes. Bourdais looks like is going to be able to fire it up and get going again, but Charlie Kimball and Paul Tracy are sideways. Oh, looks like somebody else missed the corner. Kimball gets going again.
A break for Hunter-Reay.
Guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing this replay.
Yeah, this could be good.
So far we've had 2 Canadians get into one another, and Canadian.
Here it is.
Oh,
Tracy into the back of Mira. And you know, in Tracy's defense, Mira didn't have that lane open that you and I talked about when we had that touchscreen.
It's on board with Hinchcliffe.
Wow, where do you go?
Yeah.
And all that smoke. JR.
He was thinking, thank you very much, right there. Yeah. Beautiful, 3 spots.
Yeah. Now you said, Wally, how great that is for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Because of this caution, Ryan Hunter-Reay might actually have enough fuel to make it to the end. It may have been a double bonus for him if he didn't lose a lap. He's right on the edge, if there's some more yellow, of actually making it.
Could you tell?
How about that for a turn of tables if that would happen?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. I mean, he's going to be in super conserved mode, but it's possible.
Go for it.
And you're absolutely right. It just shows you in these IndyCar races, you just can never give up. You never know how the race is going to play out.
So when the pits open, the leaders should pit, and then they'll be on a similar strategy of just having to use every ounce of ethanol to get you to the end.
Everybody stacked up behind the pace car now with 48 out of 85 laps completed here in Toronto.
Copy, we
and
got
the pits are now open.
They should all pit. This is when everyone should come in.
Here they come. Robbie Floyd will be first as they're coming toward you.
Well, Marco Andretti's been hunting around this car, just trying to find a setup that suits him. Not Ryan Hunter-Reay's, not Mike Conway's. Well, it looks like he finally has something that works. He was planning on coming into lap 51, Lenny, but he comes in now.
No damage on Oriol Servio's car from that contact with Justin Wilson. No changes for Oriol either. He knows better than anyone. Nothing matters till the end. Kevin?
Dario Franchitti came in as the leader in a lightning fast pit stop. He beats everybody out. Will Power jump back into the mix, though. I think he might have gotten out 4th or 5th.
Wow.
Okay, now when power goes up 4, something happened there. If you've ever heard that saying that if you ever see a turtle on a fence post, he didn't get there by himself.
Right.
I think they short-filled Power to pick up the track position.
Oh, okay.
They didn't give him all the fuel.
All right.
I like your sayings, Jan.
I've never heard of that one.
You saw our race off pit road presented by Sunoco, proud manufacturer of ethanol. They're the 4 drivers that were involved in the crash here at this corner. Everybody's moved away and everything is in good shape right now.
I'm not sure the drivers' relationships are in good shape right now.
Yeah, right.
There's been some heat during this race, and we still got a little ways to go.
Graham Rahal is the leader of the race. E.J. Viso is second, and Simona de Silvestro, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Anna Beatrice, Dario Franchitti, Justin Wilson, Scott Dixon, Will Power, and Marco Andretti. Those are the top 10 under caution here.
And the one thing Power's going to like to see is he's pretty close to Dario. There was a big gap between them. You know, that was a big point spread. That's closed it up a little, and he's probably going to feel a little better.
And as you guys speculated, Will Power did short fill, but they had been in about 16 laps earlier, so they didn't need a full fuel load, and they are full, so they're still on the same strategy as everybody else. It's going to be tight to make it to the end, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
The way these cautions are falling, though.
That's great news. So it was less fuel, not short fill. So that was a great bonus. Thank you, Kevin, for that.
51 of 85 laps completed. Stay with us for more of the Honda Indy Toronto. Back at Toronto, where Graham Rahal leads, but Will Power is currently running in 7th position. There are his finishes in the first 4 races of this year, all on road or street surfaces. However, remember what we told you in the pre-race. During the summer stretch last year of road and street races, his worst finish was 2nd. Kevin?
Kyle Moore, your call strategy for Ryan Hunter-Reay. You could have come in and changed the front wing under caution. It was a tough decision. Why did you decide to stay out?
Well, we did end up changing it there, and the yellow came out for us, so right now it's really good. The only difference is we're 2 laps shorter on fuel than everybody, but those 2 laps were under yellow. So, you know, we're pretty happy with where we're at right now. If we got another yellow, we're really happy where we're at.
All right, need some luck for the 28 team.
Well, they got some great luck already.
And here we go for a restart.
Green, green, green.
Oh, watch Viso.
Oh, Tagliani didn't give it much room.
Tagliani's a lap car. He's 19th, 1 lap down.
He's going to be trying hard to get that lap back.
Oh, man. This will be great in turn 3.
Watch this.
Got the on the outside.
Don't go on the outside.
Oh, and he's a lap down, but he's forcing the issue.
Oh, man.
Oh, he tries to stay there, and he does it.
He did it.
Wow.
Good for you. Nice going, Tagliani.
Well, the Canadians showing him how to do it.
No kidding. The fans go wild.
That was an impressive move. Graham Rahal didn't want to let him by, but, you know, Tagliani forced the issue in a respectful manner and completed the pass.
Here's E.J. Viso trying to get to the inside of the rail.
I thought he was just about going to spoil the weekend there. You know, I gave him a tough time on the ovals, but, you know, he's done a good job today and stayed out of trouble for the most part. Hopefully he'll be able to complete it.
Damn, that's the kiss of death on Viso.
I knew you were going to say that too.
Keep your eye on Ryan Hunter-Reay. Kyle Moyer certainly pointed out that they're looking good if they get another caution.
Guys, and Power has got ahead of Franchitti, and then Franchitti has got Dixon behind him. This could get really interesting.
And that's Elio, right?
Yeah, Elio is up there, yep.
There's Hunter-Reay. Take a look underneath Elio.
He's 4 laps down. Elio on the right there.
And Simona comes up the inside.
And that's Sato getting out the way.
He's 6 laps down.
Simona De Silvestro's in 4th.
Yep.
Hunter-Reay is 4th position. Elio is not.
And this is on board with Power.
He missed a gear. He missed a gear there. Did you hear that? That doesn't happen very often with the paddle shift, but he had some kind of trouble between, that would be 2nd and 3rd. I mean, unless it was just massive wheel spin in between the gears.
We know he's got a heavy right foot.
Yeah.
Power made the pass going into turn number 5 and got the position from Dario. Let's watch.
Pushed down a little bit. Yeah.
Great move. Dario got bottled up behind Wilson, and
nice.
You know, Will made the most of that.
Oh, this is great. And just think about Simona De Silvestro now racing with Will Power after all the tough luck that she's had, and Will's pressing the issue.
And he's on the button. He was on the button right there and completes the pass.
Well, remember, Simona had a great race in St. Petersburg, the very first race of the year, finished 4th.
But he locked up the left front.
Yeah, he did.
Is he in trouble?
Oh, just made.
You're looking around the corner thinking, oh, he didn't make it.
Dario's going to have to get by Simona quick. He's not going to want to let Will Power get down the road.
Remember, this is not Simona's newer car that she had at the beginning of the year, but doing great work with it.
Oh, it's Briscoe.
Briscoe.
Wow. Briscoe was 11th.
Briscoe's had a tough day. He's been into some...
Yeah. Oh, and Mike Conway is involved.
We might have to get Briscoe some security out of this racetrack.
Hey, if this goes full course caution, you know who's going to be cheering. That's going to be Ryan Hunter-Reay and company.
Yep. Give him a little bit more on that mileage.
Hunter-Reay's gone to second, passing E.J. Viso. Here's the Briscoe-Conway get-together.
Oh, Conway just ran right into the back.
Down, yeah.
Almost identical to what you saw with Sato and the contact with Danica Patrick. Pow. I mean, nothing Briscoe can do about that.
Absolutely nothing. That was unfortunate for him.
Still no full course caution, however, but a lot of damage on Mike Conway's car as he limps toward pit lane.
Nice job by the Almatro safety team to keep this thing under green.
Yep.
I mean, good for everybody but Hunter-Reay.
And Hunter-Reay's on the red, so he needs to. Oh, you've got Castro Neves trying to go down the inside of Viso.
Well, we have to look at that. Has Hunter-Reay ever run blacks? Let me check. Yes, he did. He had a middle stint on black, so he's good to go. Remember, the rules say you have to run both sets of tires.
At least 2 laps.
And Castro Neves is 4 laps down, so he's pressuring Viso. So Viso's not going to want to get too involved with this one.
Here comes Dario.
Oh, those are unbelievable! The championship contenders.
And Power gets the worst of it.
Oh, that was not Power's fault.
Wow.
And he's stalled. He's stalled.
Yep.
He needs to be restarted.
Full course caution.
Yeah.
He got a wheel under him, and
wow.
Very similar to the Kanaan situation.
Guys, can I give you my take on this? And you're going to say, what are you thinking? Dario has huge respect for Will Power and vice versa. And it almost looked like Dario was going to have a go and then kind of backed out. And, and because of that, you know, indecision, they just touched. I don't think it was anything malicious. It was just one of those things.
Well, let's take a closer look. This is very similar to what we saw between Briscoe. In fact, he's nowhere close, though. See, Power
almost exactly the same.
Yeah, but Power didn't give him room because, you know, Franchitti was far enough back to where he's thinking, okay, well, he's at this point, okay, I'm clear. I can go to the apex.
Guys, and you could see he was looking in his mirror for Dario.
Yeah.
You know, you see his head just turns, you know, more to the right, and he obviously, like you say, didn't give quite enough room.
I definitely don't fault Power in that one. I don't think it was malicious, but definitely Franchitti turned him around.
Driver's right at turn 3, around the corner.
Now, what you have to wonder is if race control will give Franchitti a penalty for that as avoidable contact.
Yep.
I'm sure Penske will be pushing for that.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that the Penske team will want to see something done.
That's surprising to me. As you said, they have a lot of respect for each other. And I agree. It was probably, can I make it? Oh, no, I can't. And he was trying to abort.
Exactly, but by then it was too late and they touched.
The 2 championship contenders with an incident on pit lane. And right now, Franchitti increases his lead by what? 16. And we understand that Dario will be given a drive-through penalty. Under green.
And that's obviously going to hurt him. But you know, through all of this, Dixon could spring a surprise. You know, he needs a lot of points over Dario and Will Power, and this could be that race.
For the championship, but for the actual race, Ryan Hunter-Reay at the moment is looking great. And who knows, maybe even Graham Rahal with a bunch more yellow could stay there. But I think Ryan Hunter-Reay is in the catbird seat.
All kinds of strategy being played out and all kinds of contact on the racetrack at the Honda Indy Toronto. We'll be right back. The Honda Indy Toronto, race number 10 of 18 on the IZOD IndyCar Series for this year, is under a full course caution. Once again, contact between Will Power and Dario Franchitti, the 2 championship contenders. The track officials are sweeping up the marbles as we remain under caution with Graham Rahal, the leader of the race. Ryan Hunter-Reay now second. E.J. Viso is third, followed by Justin Wilson and Franchitti, but Franchitti will be given a drive-through penalty. Kevin.
Chip, what did you make of the call against Dario?
Sorry?
What did you make of the call against Dario? He's going to have to do a drive-through.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of odd. I mean, the guy opens the door, and then he closes the door. I don't know, and then we get blamed for it. I don't know if I understand that call or not.
Okay, we're seeing a replay again.
Honda Indy Toronto, it's getting
Guys?
back to what it used to be.
Again, late contact coming almost out of the corner after the apex, but Will Power gets spun around, and that caused the full course caution.
I really think it was just one of those things. Dario thought about it, then tried to get out of it, and it was just, you know, a little bit too late.
Understand that Mike Conway will also be penalized for, we think, 20 seconds on pit lane.
And Brian Barnhart's been incredibly busy today. He's earning his keep. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
As we see one to go at the line.
Good call so far. I mean, it looks like he's right on.
Let's get a report on E.J. Viso.
And you mentioned, you know, Graham Rahal, but I'm not hearing much about E.J. Viso. He has one less lap in his car than Graham Rahal does. They kept bringing him into that last caution time and time again. We saw it last year with Helio Castroneves accidentally stepping into a win in a race, but E.J. Viso has suffered some bad luck on the road and street courses this year. He passed 26 cars at Brazil all the way up to second, only to get black flag for a blocking penalty. And he had to do the drive-through. So watch out for E.J. Viso. He's a guy who didn't like his red tires, but now that he's gone to the black primary tires, he's loved them. So watch out for him. If he can save a little more fuel, he may be the one to beat.
All right, now let's reset this fuel situation. Ryan Hunter-Reay is good to go.
Correct. But both Rahal and Viso not. They need, Robbie is correct. Viso did stop later than Rahal. They both need a little bit of help. Ryan Hunter-Reay now is looking good.
But
as well as everyone behind him.
Yeah, but 25 laps to go.
Guys, on these restarts, watch the pole sitter. They really want kind of to get close to the car beside them coming onto the straight so they're not in the marbles. They don't want to be picking up marbles.
Here we go with the restart. Ryan Hunter-Reay moves to the outside of Graham Rahal off the corner. Green, green, green.
Hunter-Reay, oh, great jump. Great. Oh, 3 wide.
Look at Viso.
Oh, he's going to hang on.
Ryan Hunter-Reay has a great pull down the straightaway.
And he may get a chance here going into 3 down the long backstretch. Let's watch.
And they're all on the push to pass. This is going to be great.
Rahal moves to the left.
Oh, here comes Wilson up the inside of Viso. Oh, man, little contact.
Close. And Dario gets around the outside of Justin, but he's got to come in.
Oh, he's got right front, right rear flat.
Got a flat tire.
Yeah,
sure does.
That was that contact with Wilson, remember? Yep. We saw the front wing of Wilson's, and that was contact with Viso. So you just heard Robbie Floyd talk about bad luck. That was some more bad luck for Viso.
That's unfortunate for him. He was having a good race.
Yep. Remember, that was a kiss of death.
Oh, it's Marco down the inside of Serbia.
That's a battle for 6th.
Guys are picking on Serbia today, huh? Right at the last minute.
And Hinchcliffe is up there also. He's 8th.
Guys, and I'm not seeing Dario pit yet, so I wonder if Chip Ganassi is arguing that decision.
Well, they give you a few laps, but he's not going to win that battle.
And Dixon picks up another position.
I can promise you, though, Chip is arguing that one.
Yeah, but
Easy, 3, 2, 1.
Scott Dixon now 4th as we watch E.J. Viso get new rubber.
And watch the front wing. It'll be right. That's it.
Yep.
And when you see that kind of wiggle on a front wing, that's going to cut down a tire.
And you got to give Justin Wilson credit there. He tried to get out of it. EJ hadn't seen him, and he was doing everything he could. You can't blame him for that one.
We had that whole discussion in the pre-race about Lee Orbach calling his first race from a spotter to calling the race for Graham Rahal. He was on, of course, saying, you're doing great. Fuel, fuel, fuel. He really has to save a lot.
We have yet to see Dario serve his penalty that we were told about.
You're better off serving it early. You don't want to wait. You want to get it done so you have time to catch back up.
He has moved to 3rd on the racetrack, ahead of his teammate Scott Dixon.
They won't let him carry on forever. They will at some point say they're going to stop scoring you, so they'll press the issue.
He's just trying to get as many laps under his belt. You're absolutely right, to try and spread the field.
Well, now we hear from race control that they have changed their mind and Dario will not have to serve the penalty.
Oh, man.
Bob, I'm telling you, the Chip Ganassi I know is, that's the one thing you got to respect about. He'll do everything he can to defend his driver, and he's won this battle.
You can't make that call and then unmake it.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta choose your side of the line and stay there.
Yeah, I'm sure Penske's probably scratching his head. What, like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Power, meanwhile, is mired back in 15th position.
And you can see Dario. Dario's really closing in on Hunter Ray, and he's on the button. He's on the push to pass, the Honda push to pass, and I think he's going to complete the move. And Hunter Ray did a good job there. He knew Dario had a run. He didn't try and stay around the outside and risk, contact. So that was pretty impressive.
Ryan Hunter-Reay has been told he's using too much fuel. It's going to be close for him. Graham Rahal has a chance to make it, but he's still going to likely need some help.
Agreed.
I think Rahal's just got to run as hard as he can and hope that more cautions come out. That's his only.
And that is why Ryan Hunter-Reay is a bit of a sitting duck here, because he has to save fuel, and the people obviously running with him don't. That's a huge difference.
And you can see Dario has closed up on Rahal again. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the button.
Now, just to confirm about the penalty that would have been given for that contact, the call did come down from race control that he had a drive-through, but then Al Unser Jr. and Tony Kottman reviewed it, went to Brian Barnhart and said, we think it's a racing incident. They then retracted that call. I can't say I agree with that, but that's the facts.
And Kevin is with Tim Cindric.
Tim, any issue with them retracting the penalty on Dario?
Full course caution.
Well, he's going to be busy now. I think it's his driver.
Powers in the wall. In the tires.
Wow. It's a rough day for the Penske bunch today.
Yeah.
And Powers had a rough couple of races. It just hasn't gone his way.
Of course, he had the really hard crash at Iowa that resulted in a slight concussion, and he was not cleared to drive until last week when he did participate in a test at Mid-Ohio, and of course was allowed to drive here this weekend, but now he finds himself crashed once again. Let's see what happened.
He got hit from behind.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Guys, and I hate to say this, but the penalty with Dario becomes a moot point right now. Whether you agree with it or not, really it's not going to make a huge difference to the championship swing.
Well, it would if he won the race, as opposed to having a drive-through and maybe finished in mid-pack. I mean, that could make
or not getting hit at all.
In
the first place.
It'd be interesting to see who hit it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, this race has kept us on our toes. It's been phenomenal.
Now, this obviously worked in Hunter Ray's favor big time.
Yep.
As well as Rahal. Although I think Frankitti's car is the best out of the top three right now.
This will help Hunter Ray. I still think Graham Rahal needs a lot of yellow, but this may help Ryan Hunter-Reay be a little more racy.
Let's take a look at it again. Maybe we can see who had contact with Will.
Going up the inside.
Yeah, that's Tagliani. Alex Tagliani.
Yep. And Ryan Briscoe was right behind.
Now, Tagliani was laps down, though, right?
Nope.
No, he got that back?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, remember he got it back on that caution.
All right.
He
so
passed.
Yeah, it's Alex Tagliani.
Yeah.
So that would have been for position.
He's been very quick the last couple of races, just, you know, unfortunate circumstances.
Willpower is in. They first changed the nose cone, and from the front, the suspension looks okay, but then they shut it off, and the Verizon crew is looking at the rear of the car, so there must be some suspension issues. We see the most looking at the left rear of the car, and now Willpower takes the steering wheel out.
Wow.
So the driver second in the championship is going to have his second straight DNF.
Hard to believe Tag doesn't have any damage off of that as far as they made contact.
Willpower, the defending champion of the race, steps from the car. And you can hear the crowd in the background giving him a big Canadian salute. .68 laps have been completed, so the laps are clicking down here, and still no clear indication of who in the world is going to win this race.
I would think Franchitti's going to be pretty aggressive on this restart right here coming up.
And he's got a teammate in front of him, so you know, I'm not sure that they're going to force the issue between one another too much.
On the road courses this year, Graham Rahal has only had one top 10 finish. That was a runner-up at Brazil, but he currently shows in the lead here as we get set to go back to racing shortly. Now, what's the situation with Franchitti and Dixon in their fuel?
All good to go.
Are they?
Yeah.
And Jan, is Rahal good to go now to the end? He's good, so this is a flat-out fight.
Well, no, there's a difference between good to go and using full fuel.
Okay.
He can make it to the end, but Dario can go full blast.
Okay.
So that he's going to be a little bit of a sitting duck in that regard. And Ryan Hunter-Reay has gained a little bit to where he gets some raciness back, but he can't be quite as racy as the two target cars because he pitted so much earlier.
I think he should be a strategist, too. I'm pretty impressed, I got to be honest.
They'll take their positions for the restart here, two abreast. Or will they?
Yeah.
No start.
Well, that's handy. Oh, good. I get another lap of yellow.
There you go. And Dan, what, you know, when they're talking, like Jan was talking about going, you know, full bore like Franchitti. Well, let's go down to Willpower real quick with Kevin's got him.
Well, Will, first take us through the contact with Dario. What's your perspective on that? He was penalized originally, what we were told. Now no penalty.
Well, it doesn't surprise me he didn't get a penalty because no one, well, he never gets penalized. It's pretty typical, pretty dirty move. So bam, just turns me around. Ah, man, that guy. Does anyone ever penalize this guy? Dirty as you like. I left the inside open under brakes. I turned, you know, my guys did a great pit stop, got me out in front. And yeah, man, really disappointed in Dario. I always race him clean, and he always races me dirty. He did the same at St. Pete, drove me into the wall. I didn't say anything. He did it again today.
Did you come together with Tagliani at one point as well?
Yeah, I think Tag hit me. Pretty typical for him. He's always a bit of a wanker, so he took me out completely that time. So not good for the Verizon car. Man, 2 races in a row, we're out. But yeah, disappointed in Dario, the guy that mouths off about everyone and whinges about everyone, and he's a guy who races the most dirty, never gets a penalty from IndyCar. It's just not right.
A very frustrated and very pointed Willpower.
There's a driver that's pretty much fed up.
Yeah.
Right there, it's Willpower.
Yeah, he's not a happy camper right now, that's for sure.
And a big hit in the points, of course. Right now, he is 45 behind Dario as the race resumes. And caution.
Not exactly.
Yeah, no start again.
Man.
But guys, they want these guys to get double file.
Yeah.
The one thing that Will can't do There's still plenty of races left. He's got a great team. He's a phenomenal talent. He's got a lot of street and road courses coming up. He's strong on them. He's strong on the ovals. As soon as he regains his focus and thinks about it, he's still not out of this.
There you see Power now 45 behind, but remember, Franchitti is right now second and could win this race, and Scott Dixon third.
Hey, Bob, you got a moment here. I want to talk to Michael. Michael, you're very upset with those restarts.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you know, they're obviously doing it on purpose so he gets there on fuel. And, you know, one time, okay, twice, you're in the back. And they're letting him have it. I mean, it's unfair. I know they're trying to say that they're not getting lined up, but it's all Ganassi cars not getting lined up.
And he was disappointed because he had enough fuel, and he knows Ryan Hunter-Reay and Graham Rahal might not have enough, but he's the leader. He sets the pace, but just not enough pace.
You don't think this stuff's competitive, do you?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you guys are, lots of emotions right here.
We're going to go side by side with Dario all the way through the S's. We're going to go green this time by.
And I'll tell you, those emotions are warranted. I think that Power has good reason to be upset, and I think that Michael Andretti does too. These guys are messing around.
Right.
Be ready.
Now we go.
Ready.
Well, kind of.
At least two of rest up front.
Ready.
They may send somebody to the back. Are they through it?
Dario was getting caught in the marbles, I think.
And look at Dixon. Thought Dixon was going to be able to
Ryan Hunter-Reay stayed ahead of Dixon. They're still telling Rahal, okay, good start, make mileage.
And that's what I was going to ask you earlier. How far do you go on that? I mean,
hang on, watch this. This is going to be good.
3.0.
Dario's got him. He's got him, and Dixon's got Hunter-Reay too. Oh, that's Marco going around the outside of.
Oh, more
Oh,
oh, goodness
car
sakes.
almost upside down. Wow.
This has been an unbelievable race. It really has.
James Jake stalled in the center of the racetrack. Who is it to the left?
It looks like Tagliani, I think. I believe it's Alex Tagliani.
Wow, he went on two wheels for quite a while and dropped down without tipping over, but it was close.
Guys, and I don't know if you want to know, this is kind of a useless fact, but it's they've actually put new fencing around this this racetrack. So you know, they're constantly striving to improve safety, but also, you know, create a good spectacle. And you know, that's something that should be mentioned.
So look,
Tagliani.
Danica gets pushed over after her contact, and man, he just wow, up on two wheels.
From Brian Briscoe's perspective,
boy, that thing
watch tags.
It rode that fence.
Oh, wow, it sure did.
And that's a 40-mile-an-hour corner.
Wow. Take another break. 13 laps to go and a series of accidents here in the Honda Indy Toronto with Franchitti leading.
Well, it's smooth sailing for that boat at the Honda Indy Toronto, and it has not been smooth sailing for the number 7 of Danica Patrick in a couple of crashes today, and finally out of the car from that last crash. And George Close talking to her for just a moment. A broken wing. I think Michael wanted you to get back in the car with maybe Marco's front wing.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's the end of the race, and they told me to get out of the car, and that was that. So, you know, I was 2 laps down anyway, and now I don't know what I'm down, but nobody gave me a second front wing. Somebody took mine, so I don't know what the deal is. It was a tough day anyway, and it piles up so bad at the hairpin there, and everybody's just running the inside, and it's just, you know, it's unfortunately the line is so much further to the inside nowadays for the bumps that it's making it really easy to defend, so it's just causing pile-ups.
Disappointing day for Danica Patrick, and they are putting Marco's wing on, and I think they're going to try and still get her back in the car, Kevin.
Lee Orbaugh is calling the race today for Graham Rahal's longtime spotter. It looked like you would have to pit. Can you make it now because of all these cautions?
Well, if we keep getting the yellows like we are, we should be okay.
But it is a gamble. We cut a tire earlier in the race, so we decided at that point we're going to go ahead and take some risks since we were back in 15th anyway. And it might pay off, it might not.
Do you still need another yellow?
Oh, yeah, we'll still need some more yellow.
Okay, that's Lee Orbaugh, who is calling strategy. Tim Keene is with their ALMS team this weekend. Stay with us. It has been wild, and I'm sure the finish is going to be as well from Toronto.
Well, we've got 10 laps to go here at Toronto, and there is Danica Patrick. She was out of the car, but now is putting the gloves and the helmet back on, and she will return to competition, showing in 22nd position.
That's no fun.
No.
When you're that far down.
Right. And we should be going back to green shortly here with Dario Franchitti now in the lead with Graham Rahal, Scott Dixon, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Justin Wilson, the top 5. Lindy?
And Alex, we saw what just happened with you. It's been crazy racing out there. We also saw the incident with Will, and you guys, did you talk afterwards? What'd you say?
Yeah, I'm sure Will is pretty upset, but I was on reds. Will was on blacks. It seems that not being able to pass Danica, and I tried to pass him a couple of times on the inside of turn 3, outside of turn 3, and when I was on the outside of turn 3 of him, he pushed me up wide, almost hit the wall. So. Give him plenty of room, and when I decided to go because he was slowing me down, I went in turn 5, and yeah, it was tight, but I was beside him, so we touch, and when wheels touch in IndyCar, everything goes up in the air.
And as we go back to green, Will said on our air he was not happy with you. Did he express that to you?
Dixon takes
I'm sure he's unhappy, but I was unhappy as well.
Whoa!
Oh, no.
Wilson!
Serbia.
And several involved.
Man, this race is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
It is crazy.
Kimball,
Serbia.
There's
Serbia's involved. No caught. Now we have a full course caution.
Yeah, but where does the caution come out? That's the key.
Yeah.
I was looking up at the yellow lights, and they didn't come out immediately, but you would think they'd put Dixon back behind Rahal. So they have confirmed that. They'll put Dixon back, Rahal back up. But Wilson, Serbia, Conway, Hinchcliffe, so both Newman Haas cars, and Kimball.
Who's going to get started first?
That's what they're all asking, right? I'm first.
It's a track blocker, so they may have to go into the runoff area to get around this.
And they want to get started because probably some of these cars don't really have that much damage.
But Wilson does, though.
Yeah, Wilson does, but the Newman Haas cars don't look too bad.
They just want to be sure they don't get down a lap.
And I really haven't seen a race like this in a long time. It's unbelievable. And like you always say, the cautions breed cautions.
They sure have today. All right, let's. They are running through the runoff area. And they will join back up between turns 2 and 3 out of turn 2. All right, let's take a look once again at what happened on the restart into 1. Look at Dixon go to the inside of Rahal, but backs off.
And Rahal brake late. You saw,
That was Marco Andretti. Marco Andretti turned Serbia.
Here's Justin Wilson.
Yep.
Now James Hinchcliffe.
Now you get a good view of Marco. Pow.
oh, man, they're all fighting for real.
Wow, look at the parts flying.
Dallara have done very well out of this race, I can assure you that.
This is J.R. Hildebrand.
Actually, he got quite lucky with that.
Yeah.
Marco has contact with Serbia to start the whole thing.
Yeah. Conway's got a lot of damage there.
Yeah. Mike Conway bounding through. Wow. Well, 5 cars here involved in this most recent incident that has caused a full course caution. Just 8 laps to go now in the Honda Indy Toronto. Still under caution here at Toronto. Even with all the cautions that we've had today, we're nowhere near the record. The record for most yellows and most caution laps set in 2001. We had 11 caution periods for 31 laps.
How about cars involved?
Yeah, really.
Are we there with that?
I think we've set a record today.
Good bet.
I think the pace cars led the most laps of this race. Yeah, I would say the pace cars led the most laps, and Dallara's the winner.
Yeah.
With all the parts that I've seen damaged.
Justin Wilson is in the pit area for a new rear wing.
And the rear wing is not nearly as quick to change as the front, unfortunately. They're going to try desperately to get him done before the cars go by, but that'll be tough. He'll most likely lose a lap.
And guys, what was interesting on that restart was the 3 Ganassi cars, Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, and Graham Rahal. They all pretty much went into turn 1 locked up. That was pretty intense. There's definitely no team orders there. You see Dario, he gives Rahal room. He knows he's looking. Rahal's going in deep, and Scott just locks up the right front.
Yeah, let's not forget that Graham Rahal is part of the Ganassi racing team. There are 2 separate teams, but both under the direction of Chip Ganassi, so they're running first, second, and third right now.
And like I say, you got 2 Rahal and Dixon very hungry for wins right here.
And Will Power is actually, right now, has the most laps led with 32, but guess who's second? The pace car with 32.
32. I think the pace car is about to take the lead there.
And Will Power.
Can he make it on fuel, though?
Yeah, right. Will
Hey, he's in
Power
the Honda.
is going to finish this race in 24th position and could lose as many as 36 points because the deficit right now is 55, and it was 19 coming in. Will, of course, picking up 1 point yesterday for winning pole.
He's probably sticking around to have some conversations afterwards.
I bet so.
See if we can get ourselves a 1, 2, 3 for the Chip Ganassi team here.
A lot of cheerleading going on. Yeah. Well, Lee Orba is the one who coined the phrase.
Got 5 laps of racing to go. We're going to be smart.
He was the one that used to say on the radio when he was a spotter on ovals, teammate inside, teammate inside. He added that. It's like, by the way.
Get up the side of him. Ready?
Okay, let's see. This could be our final restart of the afternoon. Off of corner number 11. Here they come. And it's a single file formation. And Rahal is going to get the lead, maybe. Oh, it looked like he was going to, but he didn't.
Man, did you see Vitor?
Yeah, he drove it down in there, didn't he?
Vitor Mira, red, white, and blue, and up the inside, just like a rocket. Here comes Dixon.
And they're all on the Honda push to pass again.
Rahal's going to have to move over. Here comes Dixon.
And that
He'll take second. And
Oh, not again.
Rahal, wow.
Calamity corner here.
Man, oh, man.
Rahal's still running, but he's got to wait for the whole field to get by.
Wow, a second place finish or maybe a third place finish goes by the wayside for Graham Rahal. No caution, we're still racing it. It's Franchitti and Dixon up front.
Oh, man.
And let's see these guys duking it.
Oh, yeah.
Dario has 1 push to pass left. Scott Dixon has 3. It's going to be interesting.
Now, can you imagine if Dixon went down and put a little chrome horn on his teammate? That'd round the whole day out.
Dixon's last win, by the way, was at Homestead in 2010. Hasn't won, of course, this year.
Oh, man, he is driving that thing.
He is after it. I remember we said at the Open that Scott Dixon was the one certainly got my attention this week and is the one to watch, and now he's going after his own teammate.
Taking a look and just worrying him right now.
Yeah.
Oh, when you got Scott Dixon in your mirrors, you're worried. He's obviously got a good car, as have both of them, but he's hungry, real hungry. Scott's going to know that Dario's not going to want to push the envelope. He's dodged a bullet already so far this race. And, you know, if Scott gets down there inside, I got a feeling Dario's going to give the corner to him.
He's going to have to get a bit closer, though, to make it happen.
3 laps to go at the line.
Guys, I'm on the edge of my seat. You just don't know what's going to happen, do you, at this race?
Quite a gap back to Ryan Hunter-Reay in third position. In fact, just about 3 seconds. Here's the replay once again. And watch the contact there between Ryan Hunter-Reay in yellow and Graham Rahal in red, white, and blue.
And Dixon was on the push to pass. I can't see him right now, but, you know, I just be interested to see what happened. No.
Just trying to get to him.
Yeah. Now, will Ryan Hunter-Reay get a penalty?
No, I think, well...
I was just messing, I promise.
Thing is that with Dario not getting a penalty, I don't see how you could give anybody a penalty for that if you didn't call that.
Now down to 2 laps to go.
But speaking of Ryan Hunter-Reay, nearing the end here what we thought was a major mistake by not changing a front wing. He's going to end up on the, well, he may end up on the podium.
Yeah, it just seemed to stretch it out a little bit now, looking a little bit more comfortable.
Coming into today's race, Dario had led 48% of all laps this year, and today he has led 28 and counting.
And Marco Andretti's had a good race. In 4th, I believe he started around 20th, and, you know, another top 5.
How about Vitor Mir in 5th, and Sebastian Bourdais runs 6th.
Don't forget about Marco, though. Marco, you know, was the punter of that other incident we had in turn 1.
Simona De Silvestro looking like she could have a top 10. And Anna Beatrice right now running 11th as the white flag comes out for Dario Franchitti. Pursued closely by his teammate Scott Dixon.
Dario turned it up just a little bit, didn't he?
Last lap.
Yeah, they're both on the overtake.
Yeah. Might as well use them up. Dario is now out of overtake assists. And so is Dixon.
Team Penske are not going to be happy with this result, seeing a 1-2.
There are 2 passing up. Well, that was one of them. So 1 passing opportunity left into turn number 8.
Here is turn number 8. Well, I think it's clear to say that he survived a wild afternoon of crashing, every kind of emotion you can imagine, pit strategy, and Dario Franchitti is the winner of the Honda Indy Toronto. Finishing just ahead of his teammate Scott Dixon, Ryan Hunter-Reay comes across 3rd, then Marco Andretti, Vitor Mir are the top 5. Here comes Bourdais, Briscoe, Hildebrand, Biso, De Silvestro, Anna Beatrice 11th, Oriol Servia 12th, and Rahal 13th, and James Hinchcliffe a lap down will finish in 14th. But there were 13 cars on the lead lap at the end of the race, and Dario Franchitti wins again. This is the 3rd time in the last 5 races cars owned by Chip Ganassi have finished 1st and 2nd. Dario and Scott Dixon at Texas in the first race, Dario and Graham at Milwaukee, and Dario and Dixon again today. It's the 30th career win for Franchitti and his 4th win of this year.
And 2 completely different pit strategies, and they both ended up at the end of the day at the front of the field.
Dario has 30 career wins, moving him into sole possession of 9th place on the all-time winners list, breaking a tie with Rick Mears. Lindy?
Yes, another win on the record books for this team. This one not without some controversy. First, let's talk about the reversal of that penalty. What did you say to make that happen?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you
The reversal of the penalty with Dario.
I didn't know there was a penalty until someone from television came up and said something to me. I didn't hear anything about it.
Will's not very happy about it, says Dario basically always gets what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate. I mean, that's not the way we wanted to win. And, you know, it looked to me at one point that Will opened the door and then closed it. You know, unfortunately, I wasn't driving the car.
Another thing I have to ask you about, Michael Andretti said he thought the Ganassi cars were not lining up on purpose there at the end to get some more time in the yellow.
Yeah, no, that was not the case at all. I'm sorry that people felt that way. There were some marbles on the outside of turn 11, and the 38 car was not letting us get up there. I had to go over and talk to the 38 car and explain that to them.
What'd they say?
They said, okay, we'll let you up alongside of us.
Chip Ganassi being very candid with us today, Bob.
And Dario on his way to victory lane after a wild afternoon of hot, hard-fought racing and tempers flaring at times. Al Unser Jr. has joined us in the booth, and from race control, Al, tell us about the what we heard was a penalty and then a rescinding of the penalty.
On which one?
Power and
there was so many.
Yeah, you're right.
This was a melee of a race, I've got to tell you. So which one?
Franchitti and Power.
Between Franchitti and Power, there was never a penalized issued to either driver. Being Franchitti. Franchitti was underneath Will, and there was no penalty assessed to him based on what we had saw earlier at the beginning of the race between Tony Kanaan and Briscoe. They were too far around the corner, and if the drivers would have just given each other a little bit more room, we're talking a foot here, we wouldn't have had the incident. Okay?
And here it is, Al.
This is just, he's trying to close the door. The 12 car knows that the 10 car is there. We could go back earlier at the beginning of the race and look at Tony Kanaan and Ryan Briscoe, and the same thing was there. If Tony would have given him just a little bit more room. There's another example at the end of the race, right? Right here.
Yeah.
Right. If Tony would have given him just a little bit more, okay, you can't. You just need to give the driver a little bit more room. That was a little bit further around the corner, okay? Briscoe pushed out on the front end. I'd like to see a better example of at the end of the race with the 38 car and
Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay.
So I guess what we heard was that there was going to be a drive-through penalty for Dario, and then it was decided there was not. But you say there was never.
There was never a penalty going to even be thinking about that. Okay, now he tried to close the door right there. The 38 car, he knew he was there. He tried to close the door. You're too far around the corner, and we had too many incidences right there where the drivers were not giving up any ground.
Well, you can say that again.
They just weren't giving up any ground. So,
thanks, Al, very much for coming by and explaining it to us.
You betcha. Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye.
And Dario Franchitti steps out of the car as winner of the Honda Indy Toronto. Wow, what an afternoon. About as crazy an IndyCar race as I've seen in a long, long time. And we go to Edmonton, which has been known for having crazy races, too. Let's go down to Kevin.
Dario, that was as wild as I've seen. What was it inside the cockpit?
Oh, it was wild. Every single restart was wild. The marbles were really tricky on those restarts. In fact, we were struggling just to get side by side on them, and everybody was sliding around, and no, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And obviously, there was contact with Will, which, you know, if he's pissed off, he's quite right to be pissed off there. You know, that is, he braked late. I was going for it on the inside. I hadn't hesitated. He he braked really late. I thought, man, that's pretty impressive. But he went wide because of that. So I saw a gap, went down the inside, and he came down and closed the door. So just as the wall was coming out, so I made contact with him, and I'm sorry for that. That's not the way I want to race.
Yeah, he was very angry, very pointed in his criticism. So in hindsight, you would have not pressed the issue there. And here's a look at it.
No, as you can see, he's out there and he's left me a lane, and then he comes down. You know, the wall's coming out, he's coming down a bit, and you know, ultimately I'll take more than 50% of the blame on that one. I think he's got some of the blame too. But if you look how wide he is here, and then and I'm down the inside now, not all the way, but he keeps coming down. You know, I'm hugging the wall there, and he just keeps coming down. So. You know, as I say, that's not the way I want to race, and I'll definitely talk to him about that because, you know, if he is pissed off, I see it as a racing incident, but I will take certainly at least my 50% of the blame on that one.
There was a lot of confusion about whether there was a penalty or not. At one point, we were hearing that you were going to be given a penalty. Did you ever have any concern about that during the race?
Well, you worry about it. You know, what is avoidable contact? There's no doubt what is avoidable contact, and you know, it was happening all day though. And I have to say, I ran through that hairpin side by side with guys on the inside and the outside all day long, and you know, Will didn't give me room. So that was, I suppose ultimately that's it. If I was going to be completely, you know, if I wouldn't have made the move at all, but then if you're not going to make any moves at all, you're going to sit in whatever position you start in. So, but yeah, crazy day here in Toronto. Big day for us though, 1-2 for Team Target. You know, Target's coming to Canada in 2 years' time. This is the big thing. We got a lot of the big guys from Target here. So a 1-2 is a great achievement, and all these guys did a great job.
And through the melee, like you said, a big day. You said, I don't really want to focus on points right now. The byproduct of your fourth win, though, is that you do have a pretty decent cushion in the championship for the moment.
Yeah, but look how strong Scott was all weekend, man. I thought he was the car to beat all weekend, and you know, we know what he's like on these road courses, and he's pissed off right now, and he's going to be coming hard too. So just have to keep doing this every week if we can.
All right, the boss steps in. Congratulations to Dario Franchitti. Chip Ganassi wins for the fourth time here on the streets of Toronto. We're going to hear more of the storylines. There is a lot to get to. Bob, back up to you.
Target Chip Ganassi racing with a 1-2 finish here this afternoon. Franchitti the winner, and Scott Dixon coming in second. Back with more from Toronto after this.
The Honda Indy Toronto on Versus is brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD IndyCar Series.
The checkered flag fell for Dario Franchitti here at the Honda Indy Toronto, beating his teammate Scott Dixon. Dario wins his fourth race of 2011, and it's his third win here at Toronto, having also won in 2009 and in 1999. Robbie is with his teammate, second place finisher.
Scotty, your fourth runner-up this year, second place. Did you have anything for Dario there at the end? He pulled away just a bit.
Yeah, it was, you know, for us it was a frustrating race. You know, we were kind of just slipping in. I think we had, you know, definitely more speed than Will early on, and we were just saving fuel, waiting. And I saw Dario pull in the pits, and I'm like, any minute now there's going to be a yellow come out and we're going to get hung out. And you know, they called the right strategy, and from that point on, you know, we had to pass probably 8 or 9 cars to even get to them, and that wasn't until the last restart, and obviously we only had about 4 laps to get going. So, you know, great day for Team Target. You know, obviously a 1-2, which is fantastic here in Toronto, my best result here. So, you know, a little disappointed. I think we had the car to beat, and you know, we came up second.
Another second, Lindy Thaxton.
So much contact out there today. Ryan Hunter-Reay had contact with Graham. Was there a bad move there, or is this just a product of Toronto?
Well, unfortunately, it's a bit of product of Toronto. I feel really bad for Graham on that. When Dixon went by him, Graham kind of chopped him on the straight, and Dixon went by him and really ran him wide in the corner and into turn 3. There was a football field worth of real estate there, and I went for it, and then Graham came straight across. So I'm not going to blame it on him, and I certainly deliberately did not do that. That was just part of Toronto. As you can see, what we had out here today was a little bit of a crash fest, unfortunately, but I hope the fans enjoyed it, and I'm just really happy to get DHL, Circle K, and Sundrop on the podium. You know, it was a hard-fought day. It wasn't a straightforward podium, that's for sure.
At one point, you were hoping for these yellows because you were pretty uncertain about fuel.
Oh, yeah, we were uncertain about fuel, along with a lot of others for a long period of time there, and at times I just had to lift and drive to a certain fuel number, and at other times I can go as hard as I wanted to. But that's some of the hardest racing, is when you have to drive to a fuel number and conserve fuel. But I'm just happy to get out of Toronto with a good result, and just recently got married, so hopefully it's a new beginning for the team and for us.
Going pretty well so far, huh?
Yeah, the third. Now we just need to go win one. But the Ganassi boys did a great job. Congrats to Dario. Those cars were the class of the field today. The 2 red and white cars, they just took off, and we had nothing for them. So white flag was waving on that one.
Ryan on the podium. Bob?
Third place finisher and most career wins by owner Roger Penske with 156. Chip Ganassi, however, moves up another one, now has 84 career wins in open wheel racing. Stay with us for more as we wrap up the activity here at Exhibition Place in Toronto, where Dario Franchitti has won. Dario Franchitti wins the Honda Indy Toronto, and his crew is the Firestone Pit Performers of the day, spending a total of only 51 seconds on pit lane. Great job by the team. Great job by Dario Franchitti as he drives to victory here this afternoon. Our 4th place finisher, Marco Andretti, the winner at Iowa a couple of weeks ago. He is with Kevin.
And that has moved him up to 7th in points. A good result for you. Such an interesting race, putting it mildly, and you were involved in one of those incidents. Take us through what happened in one of those big melees late.
Well, I got to run, and everybody's so close, and in speed it's very hard to overtake. I just got to run, and with the with the double foul restarts, it kind of puts us in a tough position. I was committed down the inside, and I tried to back out of it, and just didn't get out of it enough, so managed to hit Oriole there.
How do you feel about that? Is there anything you could have avoided there, or is that just a product of these starts?
Well, I mean, I'll be darned if I'm not going to go for it, but it was too late to back all the way out. I only got to his rear tire. I did try to bail, but, it was a bonsai initially, but then I tried to bail out of it, and I didn't get all the way out of it, so I feel for him.
Have you heard from Oriole since the end of the race?
Yeah, we talked. It was, at the time I didn't take the blame, but after watching it, it's my fault.
That said, still the momentum continues for your team. This is a good result for you guys.
Yeah, the Dr. Pepper Venom car was good today. I think we kind of rolled the dice on setup. At the end of the weekend, I'm trying to drive my teammates' cars, and it's just my style is too aggressive for it. I credit them for getting away with it, but we kind of just went back and said, okay, when was the last time we were successful? And we put that setup on the car, and we just needed to make the thing work for me, and we're starting to get our mojo back now.
All right, from 20th to 4th, another very candid interview. It has been interesting to say the least today on Pit Road, guys. Let's go over to Robbie.
With Graham Rahal, very disappointed, turned a top 3 finish into a 13th there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, just got hit, I'm really, really ticked, and I'm trying to control my emotions, but, the Service Central boys did a great job. We were off strategy. I was having to save a lot of fuel. At the same time, trying to race my teammates hard but clean, and quite frankly, I was running on 40-lap old tires, so it was really frustrating. I mean, it's you can see it right there. That's not even close. I mean, his front tire's not even in front of me. It's it's funny though, because that's not like Hunter Ray, but I guess some people strap on their helmet and lose their brain.
How frustrating is it when you have a car that's in a position to win? How frustrating was it when you kept getting those starts and were out in front, and the second you did, Lee says, save fuel?
Yeah, well, that's the way it went. I mean, unfortunately, like I said, I wasn't going to pull over for anybody today, and certainly Dario and Dixon had tires that weren't even half as old as mine, and I was trying to race them. I got better starts than Dario. He was able to just stay around the outside, and every time I tried to go to power, the thing would just snap like crazy, and Dixie just kept getting a better run, so try to save as much fuel as possible. I don't know how many laps we went there at the end. I didn't think it was going to be possible, but it worked.
Unfortunately, Lindy drops from 7th in points to 8th.
And Vitor Mira on the final restart for you. Pretty aggressive out there, kind of the theme of the whole race, would you say?
Yeah, but you have to choose when to be aggressive, right? I mean, it does you no good to be aggressive on the first 20 laps and maybe 50 laps. That's where people was really aggressive, at least around me. a lot of crashes happening, and so I just kept my cool until 10 laps to go, and then started to be aggressive. And I think that's how you have to be here in Toronto. I mean, it was a very eventful race for everybody. Don't get me wrong. I got lucky too many times, but to finish first or fifth, first you have to finish.
First top 5 of the season. You said during the race your car was getting really loose on the reds. You came back in, took the black tires the rest of the race. Did that surprise you? Do you think it affected your race?
It surprised me a little bit because we were planning on the reds, black, reds, and we kept, after the first set of the reds, we actually took it out earlier than we thought and kept blacks to the next 2 stints. Definitely blacks was where to go for us, was the way to go here.
Brake issue here last year, Bob. A much better year for him this year, finishing 5th.
Good run for Vitor Meira and the AJ Foyt team. Here are the points now heading into Edmonton. It's a 55-point deficit for Will Power. There was only 1 position change in the top 10. As a result of today's frantic activity, Marco Andretti moves to 7th and Graham Rahal is down to 8th spot. So we'll have more as we wrap things up here in just a moment from Exhibition Place in Toronto. Dario Franchitti wins the Honda Indy Toronto. Fourth win of 2011 for Dario Franchitti. Scott Dixon finishing 2nd. Best finish of the season for Ryan Hunter-Reay, for Vitor Meira, for Sebastian Bourdais, and for Anna Beatrice, who finished in 11th position. Marco Andretti moved up 16 positions from the start of the race. As we take a look at the rest of the finishing order, let me say, first of all, that, Dan, it's been great having you with us for the past 3 races, and good job, and I know you enjoyed this.
Yeah, I very much appreciate the opportunity to you and all the staff that form this production. It's been different looking at it from this angle, but like I say, it's been like a great experience. But this race, I mean, wow. It's been phenomenal. The IndyCar races just to watch recently have been absolutely mind-blowing, and excited for the rest of the races. But you know, I want to thank all of you and all the viewers back at home. It's really been very, very good fun.
And what a race to rejoin, huh, Wally?
Well, you know, Robin Miller has been talking about we need some more hate in this series. I think there's plenty to go around today for a long time. I mean, it's going to be interesting going into Edmonton.
And we'll be there in 2 weeks.
Yeah, of course, we always look at storylines, and my goodness, are there going to be storylines going into Edmonton, because the fireworks, the fuses are already lit.
It's going to be fun. Well, the Canadian flag waving proudly over the city of Toronto. The Tour de France is coming up next. Be sure to join us in 2 weeks, Sunday, July 24th, for the Edmonton Indy. Coverage begins at 2 o'clock Eastern with the Firestone Indy Lights race. IZOD, the official apparel of the IZOD IndyCar Series, available at Macy's. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, log on to NBCSports.com. Congratulations to Dario Franchitti, winner, here this afternoon in the streets of Toronto. For Jan Bikas, Wally Dallenbach, Dan Weldon, Robbie Floyd, Kevin Lee, Lindy Thaxton, and Robin Miller, I'm Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you 2 weeks from today in Edmonton, Alberta.